Test. All right. Let's try that again. Test.
Check.
Yes. Yes.
Check, check, yep.
Possibly Commissioner Brown. All right, I think we're okay.
He's got it.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you, or I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 9:02 a.m. Today is October 10th, 2024, and we will begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will go ahead and approve the minutes on the consent agenda from August 22nd, 2024.
I move to approve the minutes from August 22nd, 2024, Planning Commission meeting.
Second?
Motion and a second for approval. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We will now open up for public input. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on anything that is not on the agenda. Anything that you would like to bring to the Planning Commission's attention. I will also invite anybody in the Zoom room, if you would like to make a comment for public input, you are welcome to raise your hand and we will unmute you. No hands in the Zoom room. Thank you. And before I forget, Danae, may we have verification of legal notice?
Yes, Madam Chair, all notices were properly noticed.
Thank you so much. I will officially close public input and we will take up our first timed item at 9:05. I will when it's 9:05. You guys make my hands sweat. I'm like, Okay, our first timed item for 9:05 is a public hearing for consideration of proposed revocation of major use permit UP 20-50, including cultivation of up to 124,270 square feet of outdoor canopy, 3 A-Type 3 medium state licenses, and 1 Type 13 distributor transport only self-distribution license due to violations of the conditions of approval. Permittee, John Evans, Pillsbury Family Farms. Location is 26102 19N6 Road, Lake Pillsbury. APN 001-030-36. And I do believe staff or Director Turner has something in regards to this.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to request a continuance, not time and date certain. As the commission knows, I don't like to bring recommendations of revocation unless I really have to. This project or this recommendation does have a few matters that I have reached out to the permittee's attorney, and we're scheduled to talk next week to see if we can resolve the matters. So I will bring this back to the Planning Commission if necessary in the future, but we're happy to renotice so that we don't have a time pressure, so we can work through the issues.
So there are violations. We're just working on a remedy versus revocation of the permit
Exactly.
completely. Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions for Director Turner in regards to the continuance? I believe we need a motion to continue, correct?
Thank you.
I move to continue item 6A to...
Oh, also, Chair Price, the permittees are present if you wanted to see if there was public input.
Okay. Does the permittee want to speak on in their defense, or is it best to? I feel it's best just to kind of leave it as a closed book as of right now, and we can direct
Thank you.
staff to kind of figure out how they would like to remedy the situation. So, do we have a motion for a continuance?
I move to continue item 6A to a future date.
Date uncertain.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll second. We have a motion and a second for a continuance on a date uncertain. Everyone, or all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries for the continued item. Thank you, Director Turner.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next hearing is not scheduled until 9:20. I'm showing a time now of 9:08. Yeah, I'll do that for Danae. Good morning, and glad to see you. Hey, yeah, you were almost right on time. We weren't expecting you till 10. Yeah, it starts at like 7 a.m., doesn't it? Who are you guys talking about? Oh my God. That would be so sad. I don't know why I laughed. How are your baby cows? Oh my God. So what are you raising them for? Okay, not Kobe beef or anything crazy. Edible? Well, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Stud it out. Okay. Mm-hmm. Bring in some new blood. Yeah, how neat. That's really cool. Oh my goodness, yeah. All right, thank you for your patience, everybody. Time now is 9:20. We will bring up our timed item. All right. This is a public hearing for consideration of a proposed parcel map PM 24-01 and categorical exemption CE 24-10 for separating one legal lot into two separate legal lots of record. Applicants are Michael Lucetti and Tamara Lucetti. Location is 3636 and 3790 Hill Road, Lakeport. APNs 015-003-02 and 05. Good morning, staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Max Stockton, Assistant Planner for the County of Lake. I'm here, yes, for the presentation of this parcel map to present to you. The agenda today is going to be the permit request, project scope, project analysis, and our recommendation. This permit request is for this single lot off of Hill Road here in Lakeport. It is a single lot separated from other parcels, and the applicant is requesting to make these two legal lots as they already have two separate APNs but are considered one. The zoning in this area, because it is adjoining the highway, is C3 and scenic combined, which is higher density commercial, and it's scenic combined for the visibility of the public. Through the project analysis, we reviewed the Lakeport area plan as well as the Lake County zoning ordinance to find compliance. In the Lakeport area plan, one point of interest was 3.4.1a to encourage land use planning decisions that provide for efficient and cost-effective development of public services in the planning area. As for the zoning ordinance, Article 20 specifically talks about C3 zoning, service commercial districts. And these areas are providing commercial uses and not specializing in pedestrian traffic. They're not really typically shopping centers and they're typically restaurants and like in this case, mobile home storage and shed sales. Under the CEQA regulations, we discovered that exemption 15315 for small land division offered this exemption for previously disturbed properties already established with no further proposed disturbance. At this time, staff would like to recommend that parcel map 2401 with the proposed conditions of approval and with the findings found in the staff report be approved today. Staff would also like to clarify that the proposed map does not require recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Per section 17.8 of the subdivision ordinance, the amended recommendation would be to move for the Planning Commission to approve this project today. Similarly, it was discovered early this morning and you received a green sheet for a few of the conditions of approval to be slightly revised in favor of this project. And you would see under number 3 of the general conditions on the first page that all subdivisions shall comply with all requirements of the State Subdivision Map Act and Chapter 17-10 through 17-18 of the Lake County Subdivision Regulation Ordinance, including but not limited to the rest of the conditions. And then as you get down to number 7 of the same section, you would find that this is pursuant to Government Code Section 66492 and 66493 for the recordation of the final maps. As you proceed down to number 9, we realized that there was a duplicate in a way for number A of all easements showing being shown on the final map. That was previously mentioned in number 5, so we got rid of that one. And I apologize, there's one more. On the second page under Utilities and Service Systems, number 2 has been removed as that wasn't necessary per conversation with Public Services. At this time, that concludes my presentation, and I hope that cleared a few things up to proceed and hopefully approve this project. Thank you.
One question for staff. Does that mean that in terms of the 2 sample motions, the second one no longer applies because it involves a recommendation to the board?
Yes, sir. It would omit the portion where we would recommend to Board of Supervisors. In regards to that, it would be simply saying that this is recommended by the Planning Commission, not forwarded to the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah, no, that's correct. I would just add that it would still be the second motion. We would just be striking recommend that the Board of Supervisors from it.
Got it. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for your report. Any other questions for staff before we open it up to the public? Okay, we will open up public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on this item, you're welcome to approach the podium or raise your hand in the Zoom room. Are there any hands in the Zoom room? No hands in the Zoom room, and I don't see anybody approaching the podium to speak. I will close public comment and bring it back to the commission for discussion or motion.
Seems rather straightforward to me.
I agree. Do you have any questions? No?
No questions.
Okay. I can't make a motion. It's in my district.
Then I would like to make a motion. I move that the Planning Commission find that the parcel map PM 24-01 categorically exempt from CEQA approving CE 24-10 in accordance with CEQA guidelines section 15315, small land divisions, with the findings listed in the staff report dated October 10th, 2024.
Okay, motion, and do we have a second?
Pardon
Sorry.
me, would that mean as amended today, given the changes to the conditions of approval?
With the green sheet? Yes.
And as amended today.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the tentative parcel map PM 24-01, as applied for by Michael and Tamara Lucetti, on property located at 3636 and 3790 Hill Road, Lakeport, and APN 015-003-02 and 015-003-05, is in compliance with the provisions of the Subdivision Map Act and Chapter 17 of the Lake County Code and the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, and upon basis approve said map subject to the conditions and with the findings listed in the staff report, October 10th, 2024, and as amended today.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7 calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th day following the Planning Commission's decision on this matter. Thank you. We will do some shuffling and take up our next timed item at 9:35. All right. Time now is 9:35. We will bring up our next timed item, public hearing for consideration of major use permit, UP 22-15, and mitigated negative declaration, IS 22-14, for commercial cannabis cultivation, including 25 acres of outdoor canopy, stage 1, then converting 12.6 acres of greenhouse canopy, stage 2, type 6 non-volatile processing license, and a type 13 cannabis distributor transport only self-distribution license for cannabis transportation. Applicant Joel Michaely, Grow LLC, and Nicholas Tykes. Location 17425, 17445, 17475 Morgan Valley Road, and 10800, 10850, 11450, 11474, 11480, 11486, 11490, Spruce Grove Road, Lower Lake. APNs 012-045-39, 40, 41, 42, and 43, and APN 012-059-10, 11, I'll just say 11, 12, 13, and 14 to conclude all of those parcel numbers. Thank you for that. Good morning, staff. Trish?
Good morning, commissioners. Today I'm presenting with a major use permit for a commercial cannabis cultivation project located at all of those addresses. I'm not going to repeat them. The applicant is present today in the boardroom, and so is the applicant's consultant. Today, the project consists of 10 parcels, of which 4 will be utilized for the cultivation purposes. Total acreage combined is approximately 502.39 acres, and the project proposes 2 stages of development. Stage 1 will be 25 A-type 3 medium outdoor licenses consisting of 25 acres of outdoor commercial cannabis canopy, and then it will be converted in stage 2 to 25 A-type 3B mixed light commercial cannabis canopy consisting of 12.6 acres of mixed light. The applicant is also requesting a type 6 non-volatile manufacturing license and a type 13 self-distribution transport only license. The 2 stages of development are proposed. Stage 1 includes 25 acres of outdoor cultivation, 15 5,000-gallon water storage tanks, 3 120 square feet storage sheds, 5 30 feet by 150 feet greenhouses for immature plant propagation, 6-foot-tall security perimeter fencing around the cultivation area, portable ADA-compliant restrooms and hand washing stations, and a 4,500 square foot drying harvest waste management storage facility. Stage 2 includes converting the 25 acres of outdoor into 12.6 acres of mixed light canopy. They will be within 122 30 feet by 150 feet greenhouses, a 48 by 80 processing and manufacturing facility, 25 parking spaces, and there will be a total additional 32,000 gallons of water that will be dedicated to fire suppression. These will be required to be placed throughout the cultivation site, and the tanks will be required to be made of steel or fiberglass and be fitted with connectors that will enable emergency responders to utilize them in the event of an on-site fire. As you can see in this slide, the green stars are the clustering parcels, so there will be no cultivation located on these parcels. The parcels with the yellow stars will be the parcels where the cultivation will be proposed. The Lower Lake Community Growth Boundary is approximately 1,325 feet north of the project clustering parcels and approximately 2,600 feet north of the cultivation parcels. The site is located to the east of California State Highway 29, north of Spruce Grove Road, and south of Morgan Valley Road. The zoning designations for these parcels are rural lands, agriculture, waterway, and floodway fringe combining districts. It is located within the Lower Lake Planning Area and Supervisorial District 1. The topography of the area is a portion of the Excelsior Valley and a line of hills. The project area is relatively flat with a gentle slope to the west. There are several unnamed watercourses and an intermittent Class II watercourse in the area. The watershed of the surrounding area supports several vegetation types with south-facing slopes supporting chaparral, grasslands, and mixed oak conifer woodland, while the north-facing slopes are primarily chaparral. The site is accessed via a private drive from Spruce Grove Road, a county-maintained road. Photos in this presentation are from the staff site visit on April 19th of 2024. Existing uses on the land there is one single-family dwelling with an existing septic system, one permitted groundwater well, 2 ponds which will not be utilized for the cultivation, 1 interior access driveway, a security gate, and already interior roadway improvements. We have reviewed the Lake County General Plan, the Lower Lake Area Plan, Lake County zoning ordinance, and state regulations for compliance for this project. And the Lake County General Plan has no conflicting policies within the general plan, and there are no specific policies in the Lake County General Plan addressing commercial cannabis cultivation. The Lower Lake Area Plan proposed project, so the proposed project is surrounded by large parcels to the east and a small residential neighborhood to the west, as well as various commercial establishments to the west. This project, as proposed, includes employment of 5 permanent employees and up to 25 seasonal employees at planting and harvest. These employees spend money on local commodities and rent, which will benefit the greater Lower Lake area's economy. A major use permit for commercial cannabis cultivation is discretionary and is determined by the Planning Commission at a public hearing. All public hearings are noticed in a local newspaper and also to owners of surrounding properties within 725 feet of the project site and access easement, providing an opportunity for the community and participation and input. Article 5 and Article 7 of the Lake County zoning ordinance allows for the cultivation of commercial cannabis with a major use permit and subject to the conditions in Article 27. AB 52 notification, tribal notification, was sent out on August 17th of 2022. Middletown Rancheria notified that the county that a proposed project was located within their area of concern and requested tribal consultation. The tribe's historic preservation officer subsequently requested a site visit which was conducted with the project applicant's consultant. After thorough review and consultation process, tribal consultation was officially closed on April 4th of 2024 with mitigation measures incorporated into the project to protect any potential tribal cultural resources. A mitigated negative declaration is proposed for the secret environmental determination for this project. All identified impacts can be reduced to less than significant with mitigation measures incorporated. Public comment period occurred from April 26th of 2023 to May 25th of 2023. Mitigations are outlined in the staff report attachment 2, draft conditions of approval, and attachment 4, a draft initial study. The CEQA initial study found the project could cause potential impacts to these resources: aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, noise, tribal cultural resources, and wildfire. Water use. Excuse me. All major and minor use permit applicants are required to submit a hydrological analysis and required to submit estimated annual usage. The hydrology report submitted for this project estimated water demand for stage 1 is 41.4 acre feet per year, and the estimated water demand for stage 2 is 34.8 acre feet per year. The proposed monthly water consumption is required for all cannabis use permit applications. Water use monitoring is required and is reported to CDD with project performance reports as a part of an annual compliance monitoring. A drought management plan was submitted for conservation methods during a declared drought emergency. The estimated amount of water available to recharge the aquifer of the project parcel during a severe drought year is 74 acre-feet and is greater than the estimated annual water usage for the proposed cultivation. Within 1 mile of the proposed project, there are one approved cannabis cultivation project and 0 pending projects. And within 3 miles of the proposed project are 6 approved cannabis cultivation projects and 4 pending projects. Recommendations. To adopt the mitigated negative declaration, initial study IS 22-14 for use permit UP 22-15, with findings found in the staff report. Major use permit recommendations is approve the use permit UP 22-15 with the proposed conditions of approval and with the findings found in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, or excuse me, do any of the commissioners have questions for staff before we open up public comment or for the applicant at all?
I just have, can I just have clarification? How many greenhouses in phase 2?
122.
122 greenhouses.
Sorry.
And clarification, there's just one well on the property?
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, the location of the processing manufacturing facility, it wasn't on the map. Or if it was, would you mind showing us kind of where it is? Is it on the southern side of it?
We'll pull up the site plans right now.
Okay. Just to keep everybody updated with what we're doing, we're just pulling a map for reference real quick on our computers.
So it's on page 1 of the site plans. There's a cluster of to the south of the greenhouses. There's a little dark spot on there.
It's probably not on the maps that we got, but I think I did see it on the staff report. It was like a small little square on the southern side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and the site plans and in the attachment. We're happy to pull them up if that's helpful on the screen.
Okay, yeah, I did see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
See it? It's right
Yeah,
there.
because it wasn't on the ones that were uploaded to, on where we see all the reports, so that's why I was wondering. But I did see it on the staff report, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Any questions or concerns for staff or the applicant before we open up public comment?
I have one other question. It regards the conversion in stage 2 to greenhouses. It's my understanding that this isn't on farmland of local importance.
It is on local importance farmland, but it's out of the designated area that,
The farmland protection zone.
correct.
FP.
Why then is the conversion occurring?
That's a question maybe for the applicant.
Okay, thanks.
Would the applicant or their consultant like to answer? Good morning. Please be sure to state your first and last name.
Yep. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Angie Dodd. I'm the agent for the applicant. It's my understanding the applicant wanted flexibility to be outdoor or greenhouses, so that was the option the applicant has chosen, and that's why it's in 2 phases. If it's an affordable option, they'll convert to greenhouses.
Okay.
So it's an open question then in terms of whether they ultimately convert?
I think that's will end up being a financial decision, understanding the industry right now. And then I wanted to, is it okay if I clarify a couple of things and kind of point them out, or would you like me to wait till public comment?
Oh, you're welcome to go ahead and do that before public comment. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out that this application has been in process for a couple of years. The initial study was routed last spring, so it's been a bit sitting here, and I'm just happy that it's finally in front of the commission and happy to answer questions, and very grateful for staff in putting this together. I just wanted to clarify that 25 acres is actually cultivation area. So it was just a conservative estimate for water and other calculations. The actual canopy, if you add in aisle space, is usually about 70% of that. So the water demand will be quite a bit less than what's in the hydrology report. Also, if it's converted to the greenhouses, that's about 550,000 square feet or 12.6 acres. Again, that's the entire greenhouse area, and the actual canopy will probably be about 70% of that. So just wanted to point out that it's less than what it's actually shown in the plan, because that's cultivation area, not actual canopy.
And if you don't convert, or not you, if the applicant does not convert, how do odors get addressed?
It's outdoor canopy, so distance from neighboring houses is really the method or neighboring residences is usually the method used for outdoor canopy. I think they're over 500 feet away.
Thank you.
Oh, any other questions?
Any other questions for the consultant before we open up public comment? No? Thank you for your time, Angie.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, we will go ahead and open public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on this agenda item is welcome to approach the podium or raise your hand in the Zoom room, and we will unmute you. No hands in the Zoom room? Okay. And no one wants to speak? Okay. We will close public comment and bring it back to the commission for discussion.
I do have a question of staff. So you mentioned that tribal consultation was conducted with Middletown Rancheria. Both parties were in agreement that consultation was closed and everybody was satisfied? Okay, great.
Yes, they were.
Thank you. And then I guess the last question, I don't know if the consultant was going to provide any more comments, but I had a question just regarding the harvest season. And this is only coming up, and I might have glanced over it in the report documents. But I've been noticing with some of the harvest season happening, especially close to the roads, that there's a lot of activity in the nighttime. And so I'm wondering how that's going to potentially impact any residents. I know this is kind of tucked away. And so that was something I just have been seeing recently, mainly off of Highway 53. And again, no reflection on anybody else's project, but I've noticed it on several nights that there's heavy equipment out. I don't know if they're harvesting their crops or what's exactly happening. In one area of Highway 53, there was several cars parked on the side of the road. And so I don't know if it was connected. It just seemed out of place, and it was concerning when I noticed it. Not bearing anything on this project, but a question in terms of how will harvesting happen? What is the schedule, times of night? Just something, a point of information will help me out.
You're welcome if the applicant or the consultant would like to just kind of go over maybe some highlighted points on your property.
The management plan?
Yeah.
So Angie Dodd, again, agent for the applicant. There's operational hours in the use permit, and so anyone that's operating outside of their operational hours is in violation of their use permit. So I think the operational hours during weekdays is, I think, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is that correct?
8 a.m. to 6. It'll be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and delivery and pickups restricted to 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and on Sundays from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Yep. So for the example that you had, anyone operating outside of hours, and if someone has an issue with that, they should complain to the planning department. But this project and any project should be consistent with their use permit and operate within those hours.
Thank you. Then one last question for staff. Is that the consistent time frame that we're having for operations for all projects, or is that flexible depending on the applicant and the requests?
Yeah, so in Article 27 of our code, it only specifies delivery hours as those hours that Trish mentioned, but regular operational hours as far as, cultivation activities are not clarified within the code. But these are pretty consistent with what we have been generally seeing, give or take an hour or so on either side.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Brown. Anybody else have questions or concerns for the applicant or the consultant?
One final quick question. I always like to cover the green sheets we get in, and we have 2 letters from the public, the S-Steps and the Wilkinsons. Were those concerns adequately addressed? They're an attachment in the staff report.
Those are old ones, yeah. So the only thing that I can, let's pull them up really quick. Thank you.
Yes, we did review those. We review all of them throughout the process, and then, of course, before coming to Planning Commission, just wanted to refresh our memories since those were not from the recent public notice. Yes, all of those concerns have been addressed. They're mainly related to the water resources on the site and the biological resources.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
So just a question, you felt that there is sufficient water available for this size project from the one well?
Yeah.
If you would like to answer staff, or if you'd like to defer that question to the consultant, you're welcome to do
Yeah,
so.
I would actually like to defer that question to the consultant because she did prepare the hydrology report, which will give answers to all of that information.
Absolutely. You're welcome to approach. Thank you. You might just want to stay up there for a little bit. Thank
Angie
you.
Dodd, agent for the applicant again. I just want to get my steps in. So the well, there's an existing well on site. There was a well test conducted for the site, a 6-hour test that showed that the well capacity was 70 gallons per minute, which is sufficient to meet the daily demand of the project. In the drought management plan, I mean, it shows, sorry, the hydrology, let me continue on that. The hydrology report, we evaluate the storage and recharge under the project area, and it's specific just to the project contributing area, not the whole area, and there's sufficient recharge even during drought years for water supply, and the well is shown to meet that daily demand. If that well doesn't meet the daily demand, it's a 500-acre parcel, there's opportunity, and as said in the drought management plan, to drill new wells, similar to any ag project. And in Lake County, if you drill a new well, you have to demonstrate per the governor's executive order, I'm not going to remember the number of the executive order, you have to demonstrate that the well does not impact any new wells that aren't residential, don't impact neighboring wells. So I feel the well appears to be sufficient. It's, I always suggest monitoring of your well with any agricultural project, spring and fall, to see how it's recharging each year. So, it's groundwater. You do the best you can. It appears to be sufficient. There's opportunity to drill more wells on site if it's not. But like any agricultural activity, you have to monitor and then adapt to what is available. But as with the information that is available, it appears to be sufficient.
I just was concerned that the well test is done in January, which is the most optimal time for the well, rather than during the growing season when you will need the most water. So it looked very very marginal as far as covering your needs, and clearly the well doesn't cover everything because you have 5,000 gallon tanks on the property for that purpose. So a concern that truly that one well does not cover your required needs, particularly during the growing season.
Yeah, so it's agricultural activities. I usually recommend, so this project again is the hydrology study was done in 2022. I've been doing a lot of these in Lake County, and I've just been adding more and more to the hydrology studies. I usually recommend at a minimum 2 to 3 days of storage. If it's the greenhouse activity, that's sufficient. The site could also, the applicant's willing to add more storage. So is willing to double, triple, add more storage for the cannabis cultivation. I always recommend that. There's plenty of room on the property to add additional storage. So that's one way that the applicant can adapt to that, and that is also one of the recommendations in the drought management plan, is if it's not sufficient, one of the solutions is rainwater catchment is another solution if the greenhouses are built, and then adding additional storage, and then if necessary, drilling a new well.
Thank you.
And while we have the consultant at the podium, is there any other questions that we can ask her for anybody? No? All right. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, public comment is closed, and we are just having either discussion or discussing a motion.
So the cultivation on phase 1 will just be above ground drip irrigation, just the standard, right? Okay. And so the grading would be minimal?
Yes, there is no proposed grading.
For phase,
It's pretty
for phase
flat,
one?
like the area is really flat, and I believe that, that if they do grading, it'll just be minimal disking, so there's no like major ground movement proposed.
Or tree removal?
No, there's no tree removal.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes our concerns at this point.
Madam Chair, I propose to make a motion.
Okay. Yep.
I move that the Planning Commission find the potential impacts associated with this project can be mitigated to less than significant through the implementation of the Mitigated Negative Declaration IS 22-14 for Joel Michael E. Grow on property located at 17425 Morgan Valley Road, 100800 Clayton Creek Drive, 10850 Clayton Creek Drive, 17445 Morgan Valley Road, 17475 Morgan Valley Road, 11450 Spruce Grove Road, 11474 Spruce Grove Road, 11480 Spruce Grove Road, 11486 Spruce Grove Road, and 11490 Spruce Grove Road, Lower Lake, APNs 012-045-39, and as otherwise described in this motion, with the findings listed in the staff report dated October 10, 2024.
Motion, do we have a second? Oh,
I'll second. I'll second, but we'll have discussion because I have a couple of comments before we make the vote, if I may.
okay. Well, there's a motion on the floor.
No, I know, but I second. I second the motion.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion carries. So what was your,
Well,
A motion can be discussed.
the motion can be discussed
Sure.
before it's voted on.
so did you want to discuss the motion?
I just wanted to make just a comment. So we approved both phases, correct? First and second phase in one motion?
That is my understanding,
the
yes.
entire-
Okay.
Yes.
I'm new to this, so.
Yeah, it's okay. Absolutely.
My concern was, I was in favor of the first phase, but my concern is, once you plant the 122 greenhouses, you've taken that land out of agricultural use, because you've planted greenhouses there, so I was concerned about that, so.
Staff? Oh, okay, that was just your concern. You just wanted to voice your concern, or did you?
I would vote for the motion if it was just for phase one and not for both, so I didn't understand that going in.
Okay.
So then with that said, then I will then vote against the motion.
So do I need to redo my vote? Council?
Yeah, you can, well,
We had a motion, a second, a vote,
yeah,
and then a discussion that she wants to kind of
she misunderstood. Yeah, I got that.
How do I make that right for her
Yeah, so,
procedurally?
I don't recall. I remember the questions related to the bylaws and rehearing an item. But let me double check to make sure what that would look like
Okay,
for you.
okay.
Okay, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, so we'll just let it go, so lesson learned for me. Thank you.
I would,
certainly-
I want to make sure that I didn't rush the decision on my behalf for you either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all.
When motions are made, my understanding is you make a motion and a second, and then you have the opportunity for discussion prior to the vote. And so
Okay.
that was the moment I was waiting for.
Yeah, so typically, yes, you are correct. Generally speaking, with Robert's rules, that's how the order goes, is that there is a motion, and the motion is essentially to take up the item and for the body to discuss it. And then after discussion, somebody may make a motion to adopt or deny or to change or whatever motion it is. However, the tradition for this commission has been that discussion occurs first.
Yeah, so I close public comment and then I bring it back to the commission for discussion before we make a motion. So when I closed public comment and I said, does anybody else have anything else to ask for for staff or for the consultant? Nobody had anything else to say. And then that is when Commissioner Hess made the motion. And then we seconded the motion. It's my understanding.
Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
may, something that may be helpful is that motion was also specific to the initial study, and then the next motion would be related to the proposed project. I don't know if that could help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so generally, you wouldn't have to, the first decision, generally speaking, just for your information, Commissioner, is the environmental review decision, which is a separate decision entirely from the use permit decision. There are some jurisdictions that will hear them separately, in separate bodies, but your commission hears them both at the same time. So what you just voted on was the actual adoption of the CEQA review, so the environmental review, and the next motion for consideration would be for the use permit itself, correct. And so if you do have that concern, you can certainly, and the commission can certainly continue discussion on that and reopen public comment if you would like to, because no action has been taken on the use permit. So if your commission would prefer that you're not going to revisit the CEQA decision, then I'll just.
I think she's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Does that
okay,
make sense?
Now I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we discuss it before we make the motion. My experience has just been a different sort of cadence.
Yeah, not a problem. And then just to kind of reiterate what council had said, there's a whole separate motion that will cover the actual use permit, which we'll cover here shortly.
Okay.
And then we can discuss.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
All set?
All set. Floor is yours.
I move that the Planning Commission approve major use permit UP 22-15 for Joel Michael E. Grow on property located at 17425 Morgan Valley Road and further described in this motion, subject to the findings and based on the conditions in the staff report dated October 10, 2024. And I did that simply to not have to read all of those addresses again.
That was smooth. Okay, we have a motion,
I second.
a motion, and a second. Do you want any further discussion before we finalize the second?
Okay, so now would be my time. So my concern is that the amount of water that's available, but even more than that is the taking out of the agricultural use of the land once you plant 122 greenhouses. So I'm in favor of the phase 1, but I have real concerns about phase 2. So.
Okay. That's her comment. So we will, do I need to open public comment? No, okay. So we will just go ahead and take a vote at this point. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
Aye, or opposed.
Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7-calendar-day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Planning Commission's final determination. Okay, next, thank you. Next item is our, okay, never mind. We are going to take a quick 5-minute break before we take up our next item.
Commissioner, no, it's good. It's good.
All right. We are going to start reining it in, everybody.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Yes.
I do have an answer for your question, your earlier question on reconsideration, if you would like me to explain.
Oh, please. Thank
So
you.
the bylaws that you adopted in 2023 do address reconsideration, and there are 3 sections. The first section outlines that reconsideration is permissible as long as it occurs on a motion within the same meeting in which the decision was made. That motion to reconsider needs to come from someone who was on the side supporting the decision. So only those who voted in favor of the decision that was ultimately made can move to reconsider. Then a majority of the members present who are voting would approve that motion. So in this case, it would have been any of you who could have brought the motion, and then a majority, so 3 or more of you, would have been sufficient for the motion to reconsider to pass, and then you would have had the motion vote again for that item.
Okay. I appreciate you looking into that. And I hope that kind of gives us all a little bit of information. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for your patience in letting us take a quick break before we jump into our next item. Oh, my goodness. I would lose my head. 1 second. Okay. Here we are. Okay. Are we on item 6D? Okay. It is a 9:50 public hearing for consideration of major use permit UP 21-07 and mitigated negative declaration IS 21-07 for commercial cannabis cultivation, including 2 A Type 3 outdoor commercial cannabis cultivation licenses and 1 Type 13 self-distribution transport only license. Applicant address is 17870 Little High Valley, LLC. I apologize. The applicant is 17870 Little High Valley, LLC, Mark McDonald. Location 17870 Little High Valley Road, Lower Lake, APN 012-061-03. In just a moment while we get our staff report up. F5. All right. Good morning, staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mary Claiborne, Associate Planner, Planning Division. Today for your consideration is UP 2107, IS 2107, Little High Valley for applicant 17870 Little High Valley, LLC, Mark McDonald. The permit request today is for 2 A Type 3 medium outdoor commercial cannabis cultivation licenses consisting of 87,120 square feet of canopy area within 90,620 square feet of cultivation area. Type 13 self-distribution license, transport only, and a 3,500 square foot processing building for drying and processing of cannabis grown on site. The total parcel acreage is 78.38 acres. The project site is relatively close to the Lower Lake Community Growth Boundary, which is 2.4 miles north of the project site. The zoning at the location is general zoning, rural lands, base zoning, rural lands, and it is within the Lower Lake Planning Area in Supervisorial District 1. The photos in this presentation were from staff site visit on November 3rd of last year. The site is accessed from a deeded easement from Little High Valley Road. Private native soil driveway averages 14 feet in width to the cultivation site from the security gate. The topography of the parcel is moderately to steeply sloped and is located on a volcanic ridge with elevations ranging between 1,800 and 2,200 feet above sea level. Due to the location of the parcel near the top of the porous volcanic ridge, there are no jurisdictional water courses near the cultivation area. And as you can see, these photos from November, there is a significant shadow. I was present for later in the day, but there is a lot of full sun at the top of this mountain, as to which the outdoor cultivation is proposed for. Within the project scope is 2 acres of outdoor canopy, a 3,500 square foot metal building for processing as previously discussed. And this building will be equipped with an ADA restroom facility, as well as 8 parking spaces, 1 ADA compliant. There has to be a path of travel that is accessible from the parking space into the facility. And with that, that will be determined at the Building Safety Division's building permit process, and it will be evaluated by our CASP team member. There's also a 5,000 gallon water tank proposed, or 5,000 gallons of water. Sometimes the applicants can't find these steel or fiberglass tanks in 5,000 gallons, so sometimes they do find 2,500 gallon tanks. So with that being said, they are proposing a 5,000 gallon tank. However, if one is not available, because these are currently backstocked items, they would have 5,000 gallons of water storage available within 2 tanks. And these tanks would be equipped with quick couplings that would be utilized by the local fire district in the event of an emergency.
There's enough room for 2 tanks if need be?
Yes, there absolutely is. Existing land use and improvements on the project parcel include the existing well, 4 5,000 gallon water tanks, interior roadways with a turnaround and a security gate. It's also important to note that the security gate will be equipped with a Knox box for fire districts' access to the site. The project analysis included reviews for compliance with the Lake County General Plan, the Lower Lake Area Plan, the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, and also California state regulations. The Lake County General Plan has no conflicting policies within this project type. However, this project type is not specifically listed within the general plan. Additional elements from that general plan and policies that were reviewed include land use, economic development, and water resources. And this project, as proposed, includes the employment of 2 permanent employees and up to 8 employees during planting and harvest. That's at peak season. The major use permit for commercial cannabis cultivation is discretionary and is determined by the Planning Commission at public hearing. All public hearings are noticed within the local newspaper and also to owners of the surrounding parcels within 725 feet of the site. And it is important to note that the access easement also included a buffer for the 725 feet for neighbors to be notified, not just the project site itself, but the access easement in which they will be utilizing to get to the project site. With that, this hearing today does provide an opportunity for community input, which aligns with the Lower Lake Area Plan, Goal 5.5. For the project analysis, the Lake County zoning ordinance was analyzed. Article 7, rural lands, and Article 27, uses generally permitted. Notification of this project was sent to 12 of the local tribes with Aboriginal territory. And Middletown Rancheria sent an email to the County of Lake indicating that the project was within their area of concern and requested further information. On October 23rd, 2023, The Middletown Tribal Historic Preservation Officer sent an additional email to county staff stating that he had conducted a site visit and surveyed the project area. Tribal consult was not requested, and tribal comments are attachment 8 to staff's report. The California Environmental Quality Act mitigated negative declaration is the proposed CEQA environmental determination for this project. All identified impacts can be reduced to less than significant with mitigation, and the public comment period occurred from August 8th, 2023 to September 7th, 2023, and the mitigations are outlined within Staff Report Attachments 2, Draft Conditions of Approval, and Attachment 4, Draft Initial Study. The CEQA initial study found that the project could cause potential impacts to the following resources: aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, hazards and hazardous material, hydrology and water quality, noise, tribal cultural resources, and wildfire. A point of interest for this project is water use. The project has an estimated annual water use requirement of 4.6 acre-feet annually for cultivation and up to 5.8 acre-feet total water use from cultivation and the processing facility. That includes staff's use of water at the facility as well. And the estimated recharge to the aquifer for the project parcel is 6.3 acre-feet annually during a drought year. And with that, the recharge is greater than the water use of the proposed project. An additional point of interest is that this parcel was affected during the 2015 Clayton fire. This caused the loss of many of the trees, and the site currently contains some burned oak trees. With that, the property owner has maintained the downed trees. No additional tree removal is proposed. However, if these dead and dying trees do present a hazard, they can be stumped. If they are to be removed at the root ball, then that would require a grading permit from the Planning Division. A point of interest, as I had previously spoken on before, is the Public Resource Code 4290 and 4291 road standards requirements. Even though this project is for outdoor cultivation, there is a permanent processing facility which is being proposed, which does require these interior roadway improvements. The road, as it stands now, is 14 feet wide and graveled. This road would need to be widened to 20 feet. There is a loop access point. There is additionally water storage proposed in steel or fiberglass tanks for fire suppression purposes of the processing facility, and the gate is to be equipped with a Knox box, and additionally the water tanks do have to have that quick coupling used by the fire districts as previously discussed. Cumulative impacts for this project. Within 1 mile of the proposed project, there is 1 approved and 0 pending projects. And within 3 miles of this project are 12 approved and 6 pending projects. The recommendations today are to adopt mitigated negative declaration, initial study IS 2107 for use permit 2107 with findings found in the staff report. And the major use permit recommendations are to approve use permit UP 2107 with the proposed conditions of approval and with the findings found in the staff report. Additionally, there was 3 comments received, green sheet items from neighbors. I just wanted to confirm that you all had received those. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. And also the applicant and their agent are present today in chambers.
Thank you, Mary. All right, any questions for staff or for the applicant before we open up public comment?
I need a little help on understanding the easement issue. If you could sort of walk through that. I've looked at the deeded documents, that kind of thing. But it's a county-maintained road up to the front gate of the property?
It is a county-maintained road up to the first portion of the first easement. The easements are listed as an attachment within the staff report. There is deeded legal access, and those easement documents also have a maintenance clause. And I can defer to the applicant. He is a real estate agent and did move forward with pursuing those easements, so he can speak more to that.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the maintenance clause.
Sure. Okay, and then before, you'll have your opportunity in just a moment. Any other questions or comments for staff or the applicant? All right, I will officially open public comment, and you're welcome to approach the podium. Please be sure to state your first and last name when you get up there.
I am Mark McDonald. I own one.
Just try to speak more into the mic so everybody can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I am Mark McDonald. I'm the owner of 17870 Little High Valley. And I just want to say that we're trying to be as responsible as possible on this project. It's been many years in the making, and looks like this is the final stretch. But we try to be considerate of the neighbors. The project itself is up on a ridge, pretty much out of sight from everyone. So probably the major impact that would be our use of the easement roads. And we want to try to be as responsible as possible. Some of the easement road needs to be widened a little bit. We'll do that. We'll try to maintain those as much as possible. We do have a large amount of water on the property, and in the past, during the drought years, we've helped some of the neighbors by giving them that water. I do want to mention that I am a real estate broker, specializes in Lake County land. For 35 years, I've been in business, sold thousands of acres in Lake County. And of course, over the past few years, a lot of those parcels that we've sold have been applied for cannabis permits and whatever. And so we've tried to help as much as possible. And with that experience, I am pretty familiar with the whole process. And just basically, we want to be as responsible and considerate as possible in this project. So if there's any questions that I can answer.
And I believe Commissioner Hess wanted a little bit more elaboration on the maintenance agreement with the deeded easements.
In terms of wear and tear, and your view of your responsibility in terms of maintaining those private roads and interacting with your neighbors.
Well, we recently updated an easement with Mr. McMillan, and Mr. McMillan is, I think, submitted one of the letters. But we updated an easement with him, and that allows full maintenance for that stretch of road that we acquired. So we just plan to do whatever it takes to keep that road in good shape. And Travis Lisenby is going to be working with me as the manager. He has extensive experience with cannabis properties in the past few years, owning his own project for many years. And he's going to help make sure that everything is done in a responsible way. He's got a long history of being an excellent grower and a very responsible neighbor. And so any kind of things that we can do to lower the impact of our travel along those roads, we'll definitely try to do. We don't plan for a large staff. It's not a big project. It's just 2 acres. And so the employees will be not a whole lot. And we always urged in the past, the development that we've done, is everyone to be very considerate with the neighbors, to go slow. We've watered the road occasionally. Of course, we haven't been up there much. We developed the water and the tanks and all that kind of thing. Of course, I drilled the well, but we really haven't had a lot of activity over the past few years awaiting the permits. So, but yep, so we definitely want to be as responsible as possible.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Trey Sherrill. I'm the consultant for the applicant. I just wanted to make myself available if you have any questions and maybe provide a little bit more information on the easement. There were 2 easements that were dated in 1968, I believe, that covered access to this property as well as several other properties from Little High Valley Road. And then Mark and Mr. McMillan, or Mrs. McMillan, perfected a section of the easement across their portion of that, their property. What I mean by perfecting it is the easements from 1968 were 60-foot wide floating easements, whereas the new easement is a 25-foot wide perfected easement where the locations are known to the exact existing roadway. But in which case they'll allow for improvements and maintenance of the road within the easement. And after that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have about the project.
Okay. Any questions for the consultant at all while we have him up here for now? Okay, you can take a seat, and if needed, we will give you a call.
Thank you.
Public comment is still open on this item if you would like to go ahead and speak. Good morning. Just be sure to state your first and last name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. Okay. Good morning. My name is Joni Henderson. I live directly.
Can you maybe pull this just a little closer? There you go.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Joni Henderson. I live directly across, right on the property line. The property line is between my property and Mr. McDonald's. I have some challenges here. I heard you say that the property was impacted by the 2015 Clayton Creek fire. Absolutely not. The fire was caused by an agricultural burn where Mr. McDonald was not on site. His employee, Travis, as you just recently heard from, who's such a responsible manager, he left the fire burning. He left the property. The fire department was called because it blew into, and you saw the trees. Didn't you fact check? It was never involved in the Clayton Creek fire. Didn't you fact check? How can you say this road is county maintained? I and my neighbors have never been notified or yet alone seen county maintenance on this road. Where's the facts on that? We maintain it with our sweat, our blood, our personal property, trying to move gravel the best we can. It's a very steep road. It's constantly washing out. The county maintains it. You didn't fact check that or prove to me. Why am I not the beneficiary of this county road maintenance? I've been spending my own money as have my neighbors. Why? If this is a county maintained road, seems like there's some pretty nice facts included in here that are completely wrong. I live directly downhill of this 2-acre road that's just 2 acres. My son is a cancer survivor. He's not yet cured. He's just now in remission. I am very concerned with the pesticides, herbicides that are going to be used. What about him? We homeschool because of this. I have to be so careful of what he comes in contact with because of the liver damage of the disease process. Where's the protection for him? We homeschool. Does that make a difference? How this is going to impact me and my neighbors? I was not notified in 2023. You said right on the monitor, we were public comment. I was never notified. On the impact of my well, nobody asked me how this impacts my well. I know when he pumps because my well goes dry. He knows this. I've notified him. When he was watering the driveway for dust, my well was going dry. It's a very limited aquifer, so ma'am, I challenge you where your records came from that there is suitable water for recharging the well. I don't think so. That is not my experience over the multiple years of this man being so considerate of his neighbors. So considerate. He put a trailer on an 80-acre parcel, 80 acres, right above my house that looked into the back of my house over my swimming pool with a young daughter, so he could monitor the safety of his, at the time he was saying it was going to be his retirement home, such an honest man. I had to really get him to move and guard my privacy. It's actually on my property. That's okay. I'm not going to be that way. My point was, how can you be so invasive? That's not respecting your neighbors. Good Lord, these people are going to come up. This is the example he's led. An employee he trusts as his manager leaves burn files. He claims that it's the 2015 Clayton fire. Check your facts. This is not a county-maintained road. I don't believe anything this man says because of what he has demonstrated.
Thank you for your
care
comment.
and concern for his neighbors. Thank you for the time to speak. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment. Good morning.
Morning. My name's Odell Landers, and I live at 18490 Little High Valley. That easement road that goes through there goes right straight through the middle of my property, and I do have grandkids that come up, me, and animals that live around there. So I have a big concern with the traffic going through there and whatnot, but the water issue is a big one. Me and my other neighbor that lives right behind me ran out of water. As soon as Mr. McDonald filled up his tanks, a couple months afterwards, we went out of water. And we were out for months. And Mr. McDonald did help me and Travis as far as getting me some water to my house and filling up most of my tanks. So I do have a big concern with that. And I do also have a big concern with them growing the pot up there. As everybody knows, the cartel's around there, and there's a big issue with crime and whatnot. So that's what I'm really concerned with also on that. So hopefully you guys take this under consideration. We do have some signed papers opposing this, if you'd like them.
You're welcome to, we could definitely take them.
That's from pretty much most of the neighbors there. And we do all have issues with all that stuff, traffic, water, crime, and whatnot. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time and for your comment.
My name is James Wright. I'm one of the property owners on Little High Valley Road. I have been doing the maintenance for 2 years on the small portion that I use. Today I went to Bill's home to ride with him, and I got stuck with two-wheel drive pickup that's locked rear end. I had to lock it up on flat ground almost. The road is so unmaintained. And I know well because I've been in the ditches with two blown knees fixing these ditches as the road has washed out the last 2 years. And the water, he's absolutely right. I know him and a neighbor up above him. I can see both their homes from my property, and they both ran out of water. We were all very concerned. All of our wells dropped. And there is a huge water concern out there. But the main thing is the county has never maintained this road whatsoever. My in-laws have owned this property, and she's part of this, my mother-in-law, but we just lost my father-in-law, so she's not here today. But at any rate, the road has never been maintained by anybody but us neighbors. Bill and his friends have been in our ditches digging the rocks out of the pipes. I've been with my equipment trying to get the roads at least passable. I own a four-wheel drive, new, and it's bottoming out right now today. But I've just got out of surgery and I'm about to try to do some more maintenance on the road. But the gentleman that's doing the grow has never maintained anything. He hasn't touched this road. And it's really 12 to 14 feet, literally no access to pass people on this road. It's very dangerous. I've almost been hit twice. And there's a lot of blind corners. It is not a usable road without a four-wheel drive, almost even in the summer. In the winter, I have to go down there sometimes, at our beck and call and do some repairs just so we can get through, because the water has washed so much of the road away right before the pavement on Spruce Grove Road. Plus, the rancher that owns the vineyard, Six Sigma, they're nonstop cutting his locks and stealing his water. Nonstop right there at the exit of Little High Valley Road to Spruce Grove Road. It's nonstop, and I know him very well because I've taken his dog back when it's gotten loose. So he's a very nice gentleman, but there's a lot of problems right there, and the water usage is a big one, and the road is literally not passable with a truck almost. I tow equipment in and out of there when I have to come out there and work on the road on the end, and it's not very usable. I can't imagine having commercial use through all this private land. Bill's absolutely right. I went up to his house today and had to lock my truck up just to get to his property to park and ride with him. It's pretty severe. So someone hasn't done the research because nobody's done anything or watered these roads at all. So I've got a huge concern because I'm the one down in the ditches on my hands and knees picking rocks out. So I vividly understand the part of this road that's not getting taken care of. And like I said, nobody's ever done anything. I know I have. So thank you. Mine's on that document Bill just handed in.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Good morning.
Hello, I'm Travis Lisenby. I just wanted to say about the fire that they're talking about. It wasn't part of the Clayton thing. I don't know quite where that came, but it was cause for B in a burn pile, but it wasn't that I started a pile and took off. It was a bed of coals, and the wind picked up and blew it off, and I had my tractor there, and before the fire department got there, I was already there, and it was out. There was never nothing brought up about it. And then as of me, I graduated from Middletown High School, grew up here my whole life, up on Cobb, raised 5 kids in this community. I got a permitted spot in Jerusalem Valley, where I also live in Jerusalem Valley. We haven't maintained the roads up in there because we ain't been in there much, but the roads there are definitely passable. You could haul in there with a truck with a tractor on it without 4-wheel drive. I don't know where that's quite coming from, but I'm going to be the one up there cultivating, and if there's any questions for me, I could answer anything.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Do we have anybody in the Zoom room by any chance before I take the consultant? Anybody in the Zoom room, if you would like to speak, you're welcome to raise your virtual hand and we will pick on you, or select you, I should say. All right, we'll give them some time. You're welcome to speak if you just want to reintroduce yourself real quick.
Thank you. My name is Trey Sherrill. I'm a consultant to the applicant. And I just wanted to speak to, there seems to be some confusion between county maintained section of the road and what is proposed versus what has occurred in regards to the condition of the road. The easement that we've been referring to is not a county maintained road. I think that's part of the confusion. It's Little High Valley Road to Spruce Grove. That section is supposed to be county maintained. And then we are proposing improvements to the road to make it 4290 compliant and to improve the condition of it. Those improvements have not occurred yet, and therefore, and would not occur without approval of the project. So, the neighbors who are raising concerns about the road, yes, in its current condition, it does not meet the standards necessary for commercial operation. But one of the conditions of approval would be to bring that road up to those standards. And then I'm welcome if you have any other questions.
So your interior road has to be 4290, 4291 compliant within the footprint of your application.
It has to be 4290 compliant.
And you're saying that you would help to maintain that part of the road which is not within your GROW application?
No, it would have to be from Little High Valley Road to the project parcel, all the way to the operation would have to be 4290 compliant, which means it would have to be at least 20 feet wide. It would have to have a compacted gravel surface, proper drainage, things of that
No,
nature.
I'm trying to understand. So the road that sounds so questionable is Little High Valley Road, the
I'm
road that
sorry,
leads
no.
to your property?
I'm sorry, no, it is a private, a shared private access road off of Little High Valley Road. That is the easement is on that private.
And all of that has to be 4290 compliant?
Yes, sir.
And you're prepared to do that?
The applicant is aware that that's what they have to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just wanted to clarify a couple of things that we've heard within the comments thus far. We have confirmed that Ms. Henderson was on our noticing labels list, both in 2023 and then for this recent hearing with the mailing address noted in the assessor records, as well as a P.O. box to another Henderson, if they are related. Additionally, the road is not required to be 20 feet wide all the way through, based on the proposed project and the 4290 requirements, as we understand. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. Interior roadway improvements are proposed 20 feet. The road is currently 14 feet wide, and there is a turnaround there. The access easement does not have to be upgraded to 4290 compliance. However, the applicant's consultant has stated they're willing to do that. So I would defer back to them for any additional questions.
Okay. And just to clarify, we still have public comment open. If anyone is wishing to speak.
May I speak?
Yeah, let's just make sure there's no one else that wants to speak before we start repeating. Okay, and I don't see anybody in the Zoom room. Yeah, go ahead. And just be sure to state your first and last name again.
Joni Henderson, and again, I live directly adjacent to this proposed commercial grow operation. I want to be real clear on what we're talking about, what the neighbors are talking about with the road concerns. Begin at the Blacktop on Spruce Grove Road. That is Little High Valley Road. It is not maintained. It is 1 mile long up to my house. I'm at the end along with Mr. McDonald. It splits. His easement splits off before it enters my property. That is the road that we're concerned about. We're not voicing our concern about the road on his property. We're voicing concern on the road that we all share and that we maintain, and that is very narrow and very steep. And yes, I have a 4-wheel drive Toyota Tacoma that I have for a reason. I need it. If I don't have it in 4-wheel drive because of the steepness, it tears up the road, kicks up big rocks that I then slide on and slices my tires. Lots of money in sliced sidewall tires. This is a steep road, and we do the best to maintain it. It is not county maintained. We maintain it. And it feels like there's some wiggling on trying to find out where they're willing to maintain. Okay, I understand that. The problem is it is impacting the people who live there, and we are clearly trying to voice our opinions. And I don't want that to get lost. I don't want it to get lost. Our concerns, the impact on the water, the impact on our environmental health of herbicides, pesticides, chemicals, that will absolutely impact my children, my neighbors. It will. I really want to make sure that is being heard. And we know who was on the property and who went screaming up on a motorbike when the fire was in the brush burning the hillside. The lack of honesty here is very disturbing, and if this is an example of what we can expect of concern for his neighbors, it's very clear. And I please ask that you hear us. We are not slick real estate agents. We're working people, and we really want to be heard. And I really want it to be recognized. I was not notified. I was notified of this hearing recently. And the fact that the water situation is being glossed over and nobody contacted us to ask what we're actually experiencing. You're hearing it, but yet it's suitable for recharge? No, it is not. Hear us. Why does our opinion not matter? Why is that not being heard? Please hear us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, sure. Make sure you print your name on that sheet, please.
Okay.
When you're done.
I'm
Before you
Travis
sit down.
Lisenby. So I see that they're concerned about the road. I own a skid steer. Like I said, I live in Jerusalem Valley, down on Coon Flat. I maintain that whole mile of road down there. And as the winter goes on and we're in there, I'll be in there during the winter directing water. That's the main thing that washes roads out, is the water running directly down it. If somebody's there to push it off the road, then it goes off the road and you're able to keep it. So, and that goes from Spruce Grove, the mile, all the way up to our place. You know, I maintain it. It don't cost me much but fuel, because I got the equipment to do it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glance at Zoom. Do we have any hands in the Zoom room? No. Thank you. We're going to close public comment. And I will bring it back to the commission for discussion.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I may offer just a little bit of clarification regarding the county-maintained road.
Sure.
Our Article 27 does require that projects have access to county-maintained roads. So if you're a county-maintained road, it means that you're on the list of approximately 600 miles of roads that are hypothetically maintained by the county. It does not mean that, unfortunately, that the residents will see the county blading the road or maintaining the road on a regular basis. Unfortunately, with the limited road maintenance budget, Public Works they do have workers and road crews out all over the county maintaining part of that. I think it's 600, it might be more than that now. Maintaining those roads on an as-needed or a level of urgency, as well as a level of use priority list. So a county-maintained road means that if there is a complaint called into the roads department, they'll take that into consideration because it is within the county-maintained road inventory. It does not, however, mean that the residents will see the county maintaining that road on a regular basis. But it does satisfy one of the requirements for a cannabis-related business permit application in that they have access to a county-maintained road.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you. Sure. Any other comments or concerns that we would like to discuss before making a decision?
I'm still confused. So the road in question is private or county maintained?
From what I understand, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, the road is a private easement that connects to a county-maintained road. And it is this easement that gives the landowner or permittee the access to his property.
But the easement is not county-maintained road?
Correct.
So what other option would there be except for the private property owners to?
No, the way it is proposed meets the requirements of Article 27.
No, I'm talking about their concerns that this road is never maintained.
From pavement to the mile in.
Right. But so if that area that's never maintained, so they say, is private road, then there is nobody else to maintain it except for the property owners themselves.
Roads that are not within the county-maintained road inventory are not maintained by the county. So correct, that would then fall on the property owners to maintain, similar to any sort of driveway.
Right. In the past, we can't, if it's not within the county's jurisdiction, we can't tell the people what to do with their road, but we can encourage people to speak with their neighbors and with the applicant and come to some kind of understanding about how that road could be better maintained.
Correct. We do not have a nexus to place a condition on the project that would require off-site improvements.
Correct.
Supervisor, in the case of easements, which my understanding is that this is...
Commissioner.
I'm so sorry. My apologies, Commissioner. I should just be happy I haven't called anyone Your Honor yet. In the case of, you're correct in your assessment that if there's a shared set of easements, then it would be up to the individual property owners to work out who is responsible for what. But it would also be governed by the easements themselves potentially. And this commission does not have control over those.
Right.
Right.
I was just hoping that could be well understood, that we might be extremely sympathetic. We don't have any control over that.
you have any concerns or questions, Commissioner Chavez?
Yeah, so the other concerns for this project were, so in the hydrology report, it shows that the well, when it was initially built, that it gave up to 400 plus gallons per minute. The most recent reports show 50 to 55. But within that year or that time period that it was used, and there's been a few neighbors that have come up and stated that their wells are going dry. The hydrology report does show it shows neighboring wells. There's a list there, but it's, when you read the hydrology report, it sounds like everything's good. It's actually seeing what's going on here. People have came up and gave their share their story about their wells going dry. That's the actual truth. I mean, you can write it on paper and say that you have enough water, but what's actually going on? So that's one of the areas where I'm not so sure, because we're gonna approve this project and then you're gonna have 10 wells going dry, or what's gonna happen. I can't see the future, but it appears that it's happened already in the past, so I wouldn't say that it wouldn't keep happening. And to those people that have been affected by their wells going dry, like, what are we going to say to them? So that's just one of my concerns that I have here for this specific project. If the applicant or consultant can give some word on the hydrology report and, confirm those concerns, that would be great.
My main concern as well is the accumulative impacts, just the projects that are around in the area, the water being a main issue, and the road condition is my hang up right now, is definitely the use of water. Commissioner Brown, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I would concur with my colleagues' statements with their concerns. There seems to be a lot of information that's accurate, may not be so accurate. I don't know if everybody got a chance to read the letters that were submitted by, I believe it was Mr. Wright, and it shows several parcel owners and property owners that are not in support of this project. One of the things that is really hard to navigate is sitting here trying to imagine what the actual conditions on the ground are. I've never been in this area. I don't know what the road looks like, so I have to take with the same weight all the comments with the road. But I have to defer to the people that actually live on the road. And so I would encourage, too, the public and property owners to reach out to the Community Development Department and to also initiate potential site visits with us so we can see the concerns on the ground. I know that's something that's been done in the past, and whether that's an option or not, that should be considered. But as we're moving forward, I do have concerns, and I'm not at a place where I'm ready to support this application.
Commissioner Zoller?
I would just concur with everyone else. Certainly, the water is an ongoing issue in Lake County, and it sounds like that this is going to greatly impact the neighbors. So,
okay, I feel like we are in somewhat of a consensus on how we are feeling. I'm not sure, Commissioner Hess, did you have any questions? Did you want to chime in with anything that you were just reading?
No questions, but rather than voting to deny the application today, I would ask my colleagues to consider a continuance, simply because I think we all have questions, and we all can't do anything more than imagine some of the situations that have been described. But I've got to believe that more clarity could be offered on the water issue as well as the roads. Although I am sympathetic to the county's position that if it's not a county-maintained road, then the people that use that road have to figure something out. So I would simply put out there that perhaps rather than voting to deny, because it feels a little premature to me, however long the applicant might have been waiting. That's something I would put out there for my colleagues to consider.
I personally am in an agreement with that. I think a strict denial is a little. I would feel like I didn't make the right decision if I did that. So definitely a continuance to give us a little bit more time is something that I am open to.
I agree with Commissioner Brown in terms of site visits and
Absolutely.
just getting a better hands-on sense of things. Thank you for that comment.
Yes, and sometimes the applicants don't know, or their staff member can arrange that. So, go ahead.
If we grant a continuance, which I think is probably the best step, can we put a caveat that the applicant work with the surrounding landowners, neighbors regarding this well issue? Can it be addressed? Can it be mitigated? Is there something can be done so that maybe there can be a symbiosis there and the project can move forward, but with some sort of mitigation of this well and water issue?
Okay, I think staff can definitely take a note of that. Council.
Yeah, your commission can certainly give staff direction as to what information you would need to make a fully informed decision on this application. That might include the applicant working with their neighbors, but we can't condition an application on an applicant reaching out and getting permission or agreement from third parties in this instance. We can certainly for like other agencies and other licensing groups, but certainly not on neighbors. But it is worth noting that might be part of whatever information, the process by which they gather whatever information you as a commission feel you need to make a full decision.
Okay, thank you. It's all just kind of more things that you'll learn as we go on. It's good. So I believe we are in a consensus for a continuation on this item. Would staff like a date certain, or would you guys like to leave it without a date certain and time certain as of right now?
Date certain is preferred.
Okay.
I think December 12th. Staff recommends continuance to December 12th.
12/12.
Do we have any other timed items on that yet? I don't think so, so we could do this one first at 9:05. Yeah.
9:05. Okay, can I make a formal motion? Or do I have to step aside from being chair?
The chair, while sitting as the chair, you're not permitted to make a motion. You are, however, permitted to second motions.
Fair enough.
I'm happy to make a motion to continue.
Thank you, Commissioner Hess.
I move that the Planning Commission move to continue item 6D to the 12th of December, 2024 at 9:05 a.m.
I'll second. All in favor for a continuance on this item?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and we'll see you on December 12th. I'm looking at my staff, and everybody has been so patient. I think we are ready to just jump into our last item. Yeah? Okay. Here we go. Again, thank you everybody for your patience on this. Our last item is for 10:05, public hearing for consideration of proposed major use permit UP 22-24 and initial study IS 22-29 for a private special event venue with 16 campsites for gatherings and weddings. Applicants Juan and Amy Navoa. Location 5680 Blue Lakes Road, Upper Lake. APN 003-007-03. And Michelle, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, almost afternoon. Michelle Iris, Principal Planner. I'll be presenting this item today. Just give us a moment as we pull up the PowerPoint. Here we are, thank you. As you noted, this is a major use permit application with an initial study for a special event venue for gatherings and weddings. That includes 16 campsites. Just wanted to note before jumping in that this project has a little bit of a history. It came before the Planning Commission in January of this year. The project was not presented by staff, but public hearing was heard. There's a link to that hearing and all the documents and comments within the staff report today. This project has gone through several revisions. They have been slight revisions related to the number of campsites, the capacity, number of trips or cars, things of that nature. Along the way, staff has revised the analysis in our staff report as well as the CEQA analysis to reflect those changes. Today, I'll be presenting the project as proposed, but did want to note that the applicant, Amy Hewitt-Novoa and Juan Novoa, are also present today. And you did receive a couple green sheets from Amy as well, noting potential changes to the project and conditions of approval that she would like to further discuss. And I'll let her speak for herself during public comment. But just wanted to note that as far as my presentation and project being analyzed and recommended today is what's listed in the staff report at this time. So with all of that, we'll jump right in. This slide shows the site plan. The project is located at 5680 Blue Lakes Road in Upper Lake. The slide shows the vicinity map. As you can see, Blue Lakes is to the right there, and Highway 20. And the blue outline is the overall parcel, which is approximately 27 acres. And the yellow dashed line and highlight are the proposed development area. That's where the event venue and campsites are proposed. So a smaller portion of the larger parcel there. Surrounding uses include single-family residential and other resort type of uses, including the Narrows Family Resort is highlighted on the slide and directly across the road there. The zoning for the parcel is actually split. It's split with rural lands and suburban reserve. There's a very small portion. It's kind of hard to see on the right bottom corner of the parcel along the road there. It's a little beige. That's the suburban reserve portion. And the remaining parcel is RL rural lands, and that is where the project development is proposed within that zoning designation. The site description, this shows a few pictures of the project. I'll describe them. The two on the left-hand side are both the project site area that would be developed. The one on the top right is the fence street view from Blue Lakes Road. And then the bottom right just shows a picture representation of Blue Lakes Road itself, which is the access to the parcel. The site, as you can see, is mostly flat and previously disturbed for development, whereas the remaining larger part of the parcel is pretty heavily treed and sloped. Getting into the project scope a bit more, on the left-hand side, I have a few bullet points just outlining the highlights of the project. But essentially, they are proposing a special event venue for weddings and private gatherings up to 250 guests. There are 16 campsites available for guests, not open to the public. There's a stage and water fountain, as well as a gathering area, and a parking lot with 34 marked spaces. The parking lot has been modified for 4290 fire access compliance and allows turnaround, as well as the circular driveway that you see through the campsite area there.
That's not the actual parking lot, though, right? That's PVC pipe just laid out on the ground?
Is that chalk or paint?
Oh, the photo.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I should have
In
mentioned
other
that.
words, it hasn't been actually constructed yet.
No, yes, that is a markup provided by the applicant. Thank you for that clarification. Just showing the parking area and what that could look like. On the top right is a typical campsite figure that was also provided by the applicant, just showing the tent area and a picnic table. The two water tanks for the project, you'll see noted on the site plan in the bottom right-hand side. Those were relocated from, or will be, from the top of the hill down to the flat area for fire accessibility. The events would be once per week, typically April through November, but there could be some events around the holidays outside of that area as well. And amplified music would be a part of the use permit, and all of the music is required to be shut off by 9:45 p.m. I'll get into noise concerns in a separate slide. There's also a second stage of the project that would include construction of a barn and a second restroom. For our project analysis, we reviewed regulations within the general plan, the Upper Lake Nice area plan in which the project is located, the county zoning ordinance, and of course, fire and building safety codes. The project supports the general plan and area plan goals and policies related to tourism and recreation. For the environmental analysis under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, we prepared an initial study and mitigating negative declaration that was circulated for public review on May 10th, 2023. The initial study was then revised and recirculated on March 29th of this year. And the reason for that circulation is previously the project proposed 9 campsites up on the top of the hill and was revised last November with a new site plan showing the campsites where they are now and increasing those to 16, as well as some other minor modifications. Also included incorporating information from a noise analysis. I'll also get into those details shortly here, and some other things that triggered recirculation. All impacts can be reduced to less than significant per the analysis within the initial study. I wanted to note that there have been significant comments received throughout the whole process of this project, and I've included those in attachment 3 of the staff report. That includes all of the comments throughout those 2 circulations as well as the previous hearing. And a part of the CEQA process, AB 52 tribal consultation was held with Habemetal Pomo of Upper Lake, and the applicant is in an agreement with that tribe. I'll get into some points of interest for the project. There are 5 listed on the slide that are important to discuss and note. These also reflect the public comments received during this process. The first one would be noise. Public comments have been received related to noise impacts from the proposed project, mainly the amplified music. A noise study was prepared by the Acoustics and Vibration Group in 2023. That's included in attachment 5 of your staff report. The study included taking noise measurements for baseline levels from various locations noted on the slide here, both on the project site as well as across the way at the nearest sensitive receptor, which would be the Narrows Family Resort and a guest or a caretaker home. Essentially, the noise analysis took baseline level measurements at each of those locations and then also amplified different types of music at different volumes with speakers facing different directions to gather what those noise levels would be and compare them against our noise allowances within our zoning code. So it's all very technical and included in that analysis, but in summary, the analysis found that all of the levels could be within those required noise levels in our zoning code if a number of mitigation measures were included. And some of those include construction of a sound attenuation wall, placing speakers at specific heights, pointing speakers in different directions, and requiring the music to be turned off by 9:45 p.m. Those were all included into mitigation measures within the noise section of the initial study that you'll see as noise 1 through noise 10.
Quick question about the wall. You mentioned construction of a wall. I seem to recall somewhere in the staff report that at the time of an event with amplified music, a wall would be erected. Is that the attenuation, the noise attenuation wall referred to? Because that sounds like it's put up temporarily and taken down rather than a permanent wall being built.
Yeah, I think it could be an option for the applicant to do either or, and I'll let them speak to that, what their plans are for that. I know additionally there also is a 6-foot fence on the property line, but the wall is shown on the site plan as well. So I'll let them clarify that, so I don't misspeak. Getting into our next point of interest is traffic and emergency evacuation. So access to the site is taken from Blue Lakes Road, which is a narrow county-maintained road. There have been concerns raised by both the public as well as the Public Works Department and staff related to just having more cars on the road and the existing state of that road. So staff has worked with the applicant and those departments and has modified the project to allow only a certain number of vehicles at the site. It started initially as 40 vehicles as identified by the applicant in the Department of Public Works, and they felt that that, as well as some other points I'll get into here for mitigation, would allow the project to move forward without requiring a traffic analysis. Initially, they wanted one, Department of Public Works did. And so through this series of modifications, they determined that they were comfortable without requiring one. Additionally, so what that looks like is currently the most recent revised site plan shows 34 parking spaces, excuse me. So the project will be conditioned to only allow that amount of cars at any one time. As far as the daily trips, which is required to be analyzed under CEQA, it's vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, it would equate to 84 trips, which is underneath or below the required threshold of 110, and that is for the CEQA analysis. To address concerns raised by public and staff related to traffic, as I mentioned, the applicant has agreed to 35 vehicles on site and has also noted that they've made an arrangement with the local casino to shuttle guests onto the site if that 35-car limit has been met. Additionally, the project is required to update the access driveway to 4290 standards. Of particular note, they recently added that circular loop as well as the second turnaround. There's space for a truck to turn around both within the parking lot and then also to utilize the circular driveway. No parking will be allowed on Blue Lakes Road, and the applicant has noted that they will post emergency evacuation plans on the fence, telling guests which way to drive out. They're proposing west, unless, of course, an emergency prevents that. Public Works, as I mentioned, was comfortable with this layout and mitigation measures. There was talk about making the road one-way. We heard that during public comment, and that's something that the applicant also has said that they agree could be amendable to. However, it is a county-maintained road, and the county is not proposing that at this time. The next topic of interest is wildfire. The project is within a very high fire risk as identified by CAL FIRE. Much of the project is sloped despite the proposed development area, which is relatively flat and cleared of vegetation. Construction would not take place during red flag warning days. Construction is required to, of course, be in compliance with all building and fire safety codes. The site contains two 2,500-gallon water tanks for fire suppression that are being relocated down to the flat portion of the area so that they are accessible and meet all of those requirements. and no campfires would be allowed within red flag warning days. And these project components have been identified and included into the mitigation measures in the wildfire section of the initial study. The fourth aspect of interest is beach access. We received public comments related to the applicant not having potentially legal rights to the beach during the last hearing date. We looked into that and determined that because it's not a part of the project at all, they were not proposing to use the beach access as a part of the use permit or for events, that it's really a civil matter and not a part of the use permit. Additionally, we've added a condition of approval, just clarifying that events are prohibited from using the stairs that were recently constructed. They did have historically stairs, sort of like 2x4s going down to the beach that you commonly see. They're in the process of constructing this landing here you see on the slide and a staircase down to the water. That was not analyzed as a part of this project, so the project is conditioned accordingly.
I really don't understand that, I'm sorry. Okay. So a stairway to the beach was constructed, and that is not, the county has no interest in that. It's a civil matter between the state and the applicant, or why was it built if nobody from this development is allowed to use it? And whose responsibility is it to remove it or let it stand, however, not allowing it to be used? It doesn't quite add up to me.
Yes, and my next slide is going to go over the stairs. Oh, no, that's all right. It's a great question. I can answer it for you, of course. So for the stairs, they are required to get building permits. They also went through review by the Department of Public Works and then the State Lands Commission, who actually has jurisdiction over Blue Lake. So it's kind of interesting, different from, Clear Lake, where we have jurisdiction over it. State Lands Commission technically has jurisdiction over Blue Lakes. Now, the land in between, the hillside, is under our jurisdiction and our grading ordinance. So generally speaking, to answer one of your questions, yes, they're required to get permits. They constructed this platform that you see here and started the stair construction without seeking building permits. They were red tagged and submitted an as-built permit. I can't speak for the applicant on why these were constructed recently when they're not a part of the use permit, so I'll let them speak to that. But it was just a way to ensure that because it wasn't analyzed within our analysis or the use permit, that we are prohibiting use of it through the use permit for the events. So the last aspect of interest are related to some code enforcement complaints received on this property. That has also been raised within the public comments, and as you know, one of our findings for approval of a use permit is that there are no current violations, so I wanted to be sure to clarify these issues. So the list on this slide contains 4 different events or reports of code complaints on the property. They're related to illegal cannabis cultivation, illegal grading, stormwater runoff, and construction without permits. So related to the report of illegal cannabis cultivation, staff found evidence of illegal cultivation in 2022, I believe. There's a lot more detail in my staff report, but the applicant removed it and the violation was clear and there's no current cannabis on site. Related to reports of illegal grading and tree removal, the applicant, should have noted this earlier, does also have a building permit in process for a cabin or a single family home on site. And so with that, they were able to do a certain amount of clearing of trees for their driveway and access improvements, as well as installing septic and the well and electricity. So when the grading inspector and code enforcement officer went out in response to these complaints, it was determined that those were allowed within the the building permit, and that a grading permit was not required, and that the grading inspector noted that there were not any violations on site. The applicant noted that they did have an event related to a family gathering. I think that was mentioned at the last hearing. They spoke on that, but Planning Division did follow up with the letter of that October event, just letting them know that they did not have an approved use permit yet. And then lastly, as we just discussed, the stairs were constructed without permits, and staff worked with those noted jurisdictions to determine that there were no special permits required outside of the building permit that they did submit. So with that, there are no current violations all site. They've all been cleared up with the details that I just mentioned and further described in the staff report. So lastly,
Who was growing the illegal cannabis? Was it the applicant, or if that was in 2022?
as I understand, they were leasing the land to somebody, but I'll let them speak on that as well. They were, the property was under their ownership at the time. I do know that. So as I mentioned, I know the applicant would like a chance to speak on some of the project details and potentially request modification to some of the conditions. But as presented, the project is what I mentioned already, and staff is recommending adoption of the mitigated negative declaration, as well as approval of the use permit. Happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody have questions for staff before we, or for the applicant since they are here, before we open up public comment? No? I will give the applicant time now before, if they wanted to speak. Michelle, you said that they wanted to elaborate on a few things. They're welcome to do that now, and then I can let the public have their time after that. So you're welcome to come up. Good morning. Just make sure you tell us your first and last name.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Amy Novoa, and I'm very excited to be here today. It's been a long process. Me and my husband own Rancho Novoa, and I worked at UPS for 33 years, where I retired in 2022, and we purchased this land in 2015. The intent was, after working a corporate job, that we would have a place to give back to the community. In August, we were listening to the Board of Supervisors meeting, and the community development were giving a presentation on grants and loans that were available for our small businesses. And they were looking for small businesses that help other small businesses. And they actually said they were looking for venues. And me and my husband go, oh my gosh, that is us. We're here for the community. You know, that they are wanting to bring tourism to our area. And what we do is we will help fellow businesses, and that's exactly what we plan to do. So some of the local businesses actually submitted letters. This has been a very long process, over 2 years, and we have done all of the studies that have been asked of us. We did update to 16 campsites, and we also have our state application that would be approved. We just need the approval of CEQA so we can go to state. And my husband will talk more about that. Let's see. When we were felt discouraged about how long this was taking, you know, Michelle would just let us know that she wanted everything perfect, so that when we came in front of you guys, that it would be no problem for approval. And I feel that's why we're here today, because we do have everything in order. Our family is diverse. We want to include everybody at our lake event. Our son's a part of 4-H, and the Board of Supervisors actually had a 4-H, they said it was a 4-H week that was just adopted. And so maybe 4-H activities would happen there, cornhole tournaments, parties, car clubs could have meetings, weddings. Not all of our gatherings will have music, and most weddings are 100 or under. That is the average. So big events are going to be rare. I know that's upsetting to some people. All we are asking for is a resort in a resort area. We would like to be given the same opportunities that the other resorts are given. The Blue Lakes Lodge does weddings and does have music, and they're right on the lake with ours. Let's see, the other resorts have camping and water access, by appointment, 7 days a week. That's what we're asking for. There has been nothing new on Blue Lakes for the public in decades. Our project will improve, not distract from the lake. We're here for the community. We're here for people. One last thing that I would like to say right here about the new conditions that we got last Thursday at 5:27, so after hours. I got some new items that were put on the report that weren't on the previous report that was approved by Mireya on 9/14/23. That was the original report. I have no idea why these are given us to the last minute because Eric, our original planner, he had sent us the conditions before, and we went over the conditions before he submitted them, and we agreed with them. And so these last minute things would really just kind of hurt our business. And we only had one face-to-face meeting with our planners in the last year. So I think that it would be helpful for future projects that maybe you could have like a one week, even a 10-minute meeting to go over where you're at in the project and what updates you need to move forward. So with the let's see where we're at. With these added conditions a few days before the hearing, I'm sorry that I had to waste your time today, but it's hard enough to start a small business, but I feel like the changes they're asking for could actually limit us. And so one of the things was the camping. The campsites we added, they were going to be on the hill, and just like tents you could use if you had an event, but when we were asked to update our site plan, we updated it with the 16 campsites so that we could go to state. So we do need to be able to have camping more than just with the when there is an event. So we're asking for that, and some of the things it's like with the traffic and such. If we're on a day of if we have an event, it's different. We'd only have 16 or less on any other day if we did have camping, but we need to have it available just so that's part of our business. I don't know if you wanted me to go over any of the last minute changes, but we're asking that today that you adopt our amendments with approval. We're just asking that you approve our project so we can please share our amazing venue by Blue Lakes and create long-lasting memories for all. Do you have a timer? Did you want us to go over the things I was asking to amend, or do you have any questions about that?
I don't believe we have questions about that. And what we can do is give the public an opportunity to speak on their concerns, and then we can go from there. So
what if since we asked for these conditions to be changed on just the new conditions, would they be revised and given back to us?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So we asked for some revisions on the new conditions.
Okay.
And so if it gets approved today, would that be
that would all have to be discussed at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess let's see. So the stairs. Let's talk about the stairs. So that's what he was asking us. Okay. The stairs are not under the county's jurisdiction. And there were stairs there. We rebuilt over the stairs. We have the permit for the stairs. And if we have camping, we need to be able to use the stairs. I mean, if we don't use them with the venue, as like if there's an event, that's one thing. But we still need to have access to those. Those are our stairs. We need to be able to have. Our lake shore is almost a quarter mile. It's very long. And I don't understand why it wasn't in the part of the major use permit, but I don't want it to omit it that where we can't use it for like if we have camping or with our own families and such. We need to be able to use the stairs.
Okay, I'm sure that the planner will make a note of that for that amendment.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have public comment open. If anybody is wishing to speak, please feel free to approach the podium. Hi.
Can I you these to hand out?
Sure. Thank you, Ruby.
I think I should have enough copies. This was a last minute thing that was emailed over, so I told them I bring copies of them just in case.
Just make sure you please print your first and last name on that paper there in front of you.
Sure thing. That's kind of sloppy. My name is Angie Carter. So first of all, good morning, almost afternoon, I think. I'd just like to thank you for this opportunity to voice our concerns and our opinions. My husband and I are the owners of the Narrows Family Resorts, and the other owners of the resort, they are on Zoom. Of course, it's still our busy season, so they have asked if I could maybe take some of their time as well, so that hopefully, and there's quite a few people here in the audience, so that we try to condense some of the time taken. So I'll try to be brief, but if you could indulge us, Madam Chair, and just give us a little bit more time so that we can maybe not have 20 people come up and raise their hands on Zoom and get a little bit more condensed in here, and I'll try to stay on topic here.
I respect that.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. Yeah, we'll just kind of, and I appreciate your guys' patience and all that, so just keep going.
We would like nothing more than to be done with this and just to find a good solution for everyone involved. That being said, this is a very difficult situation with many, many things to consider. My husband Craig and I, like I said, we own the Narrows Family Resort, which is directly, as you saw from that map, directly across from the Rancho Nova. Well, we probably have the most financially to lose if this major use permit is passed the way it is currently written. There are many of our neighbors that have a lot of many concerns, as you've seen by all the things that have been written and submitted, and that you heard from the last time that we were here in, I guess it was January. I know that you've received copies of all these concerns, and I hope that you've taken the time to really read through these things, because we've taken the time to write them. We've taken the time to be here. We've taken the time to do all these things. The recent staff report, thank you, Michelle, for your time and effort that you've put into this. I know that this has not been easy, and I know that Juan and Amy have spent a lot of time trying to get this passed, but just because somebody spends a lot of time trying to do something and trying to make a business doesn't mean that it's necessarily the right fit for this peaceful area that we have. So some of the, in this presentation that's been drawn up, some of the key points that were brought up were the traffic, the noise, and the emergency vehicles. Those were like three of the key points that she talked about. But there's also other things that I presented in that little packet that we had drawn up by Brian Hall, an engineer who is local. And those things are property lines, setbacks, stormwater drainage, the septic systems, the leach lines, things like that, the accuracy of the maps that have been drawn up. If you really look at the details of those maps, they're not accurate. So I hope that you're really looking into the details of those things. The first thing, the traffic, as she presented, they're only expecting to have 84 trips per day of the event. Think about that. 84 trips, that's going there and back. That's 42 trips in, 42 trips out, 250 guests. Does that add up to you? 35 cars on site with 16 campsites. You've got caterers, you've got setups, you've got musicians, you've got security, you've got the people working there. How are they going to do that in 42 trips? And plus, if you're shuttling all these people in there and you leave them there and you have an emergency like a fire, how are you getting them all out? I'm just wondering, because I have to think about that in our resort, you know, emergency evacuations and stuff like that. Then you have the noise. Yes, they had this wonderful packet of this noise acoustics. Have you read this? I read it, every single page of it. They said they did 5 points of location. On page 17, if you look, the 5th point was supposed to be inside our resort. There's no findings for inside our resort. They did not test inside our resort. It is blank. It's not accurate. They also did it on the September 13th and 14th, which PG&E was out there doing, doing all their digging and hammering and everything else, putting the lines, excuse me, underground. Sorry, I'm a bit passionate about this topic. putting their lines underground between 3 and 7. And it says in that report that there was a lot of construction work going on. So that's what all the noise was in the background. So they did not get accurate. So this is an inaccurate finding, okay? We reside in what's called a box canyon, okay? So all this noise, it's just an acoustic sound barrier. So where they have suggested putting this stage at faces this canyon. The music goes in, it goes out, and it comes down into our resort. So it's like we're in the concert with them, whether it's live music or whether it's a stereo. Recently, my husband and I built this beautiful fence. It's like this attenuation, or whatever the wall is that they're saying that they're going to have to build. We just had this built. So even if they build this wall, we can still hear the music. So Juan, over there building his home or whatever it is that they're building over there, has his car out there playing his music in his car. We can still hear his music through that wall that we've built, this fence that we've built. We can still hear his music loud and clear. So it's just a sound chamber in through this time. So you can imagine if they're having this large party and they're playing this music all the time. There's been some stipulations put in this new staff report saying that they will shut their music off at 9:45. Great. But it says that they can have their parties from 7 a.m. till 9:45. So what time do they get to start? Do they get to start their music at 7 a.m. and go till 9:45? That's not so great for us either. Does it say they get to play live music? That's even worse because that's louder than just regular music. So all of these things, these are all loopholes that are in this staff report still. In this last thing that you guys were just talking about, this last cultivation one, it says, again, the CAL FIRE 4290 that we've also discussed in our things, say that the minimum standard for the road is 20 feet. You were just telling the last people that they have to have their road a minimum of 20 feet. Our average size of our road is between 14 and 16, and I'm being generous because you saw the pictures. Most of it is about 12 feet wide. So how are we going to have all these cars on this road when that's how wide it is? So those are some of our concerns. Also, if you look at that map where they say they're going to have a turnaround in there, you can see, again, the map is not accurate, but they're going to make that fire truck make a 90-degree turn inside that parking lot. It's not going to happen. A lot of these things that Brian has outlined in there, again, with the septic system, the leach lines, where their backup leach lines are going to be. They haven't done a survey, a land survey, to show where the property lines are. Mr. Hoffman, who's asked me to speak for him today, he's on the Zoom call as well. His property backs up to theirs, and he says they're on his property. The setbacks are not accurate. When my husband and I just built a metal shed, we had to go out and pay for a land survey to make sure that we are within our setbacks, that we are not, having our property lines marked out. They haven't done this. There's nothing on county records showing that they've done a land survey. Several things like that. So I encourage you to look at these things from Mr. Hall. We're a small business. My husband Craig and I took a rundown resort that people had stopped going to. We bought this 5.5 years ago. We worked hard, bring this place up to code to make it a beautiful place that people all over this state come to. We bring in tourism tax for the county. We recommend places. People come here, they go to the local restaurants, they go to the local casinos, they go to the local wineries. We donate to the local schools. We advertise for all these local places inside of our things. And we've built something wonderful here in this county, and we love this county. But many of our guests have expressed that this is not what they want across from them, that this is not how they want to come and spend their yearly vacations. And it's not because we're bad-mouthing them, it's because there's a big sign across from there that says that this is going to happen. Or they've been here when they've had their last 2 events over the last couple of years and have experienced what it's going to be like with 250 guests across from us and this music going on. We truly hope that you, our appointed commissioners, will listen to our community's concern on this matter. It's been presented to you through petitions, letters, emails, and the people that are here in this room, as well as on the Zoom that couldn't be here due to work issues. that this is not in our best interest. We strongly encourage you not to pass this major use permit at this time, to close some of these loopholes, to better take a look at this, to find something else. Amy has expressed that some of these will only be 100 people, that they're not always going to have live music or music. Great. Have a campground. Do car shows. Do something else that's going to be small. Have a campground. Have something that's more what the other places are. Blue Lakes Lodge does have weddings. They have an indoor place where they have this music where it's not disrupting their neighbors. If you take a look at this project analysis on page 11, under the land uses, it says that it's going to prevent and keep incompatible uses. The county shall prevent the intrusion of new incompatible land uses into existing community areas. And then it notes on here from staff, none of the surrounding lots contain uses that are incompatible with the proposed special event venue and campground uses. That's false. None of us have amplified music. None of us do live music. None of us have capacity of 250 people. Our capacity is 120 people at max capacity. So how is this compatible with what goes on in the county or in our area? And then also on page 21, it states on here under the major use section 51.4 that the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the use applied for not under any circumstances of the particular case be detrimental to the health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare of persons residing or working in the neighborhood of such proposed use, or be detrimental to property and improvements in the neighborhood of the general welfare of the county. I'm sorry, but this is going to be detrimental to our business that we've worked so hard to be a part of our community. That's our community. The people on the Zoom, that's our community. We've made part of our community, and we welcome them to be part of our community in a way that's fitting into the community. Having loud music and live music and 250 cars on that back road isn't part of our community. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for giving me that extra time to speak for some of these other people that couldn't be here.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, my name's Nick Summerfield. Can you hear me?
I can hear you pretty well. Just make sure before you leave, if you would just write down your name for staff. Go ahead, Nick.
I've lived in Blue Lake since 1977, so I've been a long-time resident. And as part of my resume that I heard earlier was given, I worked for 2 governors, and so I'm aware of the political advocation that goes on some of these meetings. And that's what I'd like to address quickly. I'm kind of unsure about the spin that's been put on this proposal. When I first heard about it, it was for a campsite, to have a campground. Have you heard of that saying, can't see the forest because of the trees? Excuse me, the trees. Well, I'm beginning to think that because in listening to everybody, this sounds like another Canocti Harbor Inn venue. Sure, family, weddings, that's one thing. But we're talking about amplified music, 250 people, shuttle service to and from the resort or the venue. I mean, is that a transportation issue? I mean, is that a permit for transportation? Do we have those things? We're talking about RVs. RVs are going to be in this venue area. Are they going to be permanent RVs? It's going to have a dumping station. 16 campsites and a dumping station. It begins to make me kind of wonder what we're really looking at here. And you're talking about a community, a very small community, that, we're not used to amplified music coming off the hills, dope growing, all the illegal dope growing, I should say. we're not used to all this coming to our community. And so when I read, partially read, I should say, 114 pages was too much for me to read real quick. But when I read that, I thought, the staff is recommending that there's no real issues, significant issues. Dr. Bennett, the last time we went through this, talked about the road. It's 12 feet wide. I mean, he actually measured it. And I was going to go down this morning and take a picture of showing you what it looks like with two cars. I came by there a month ago because of the road work going on in Blue Lakes. I decided, I'll go by the back road. People were coming, and I'm in a four-wheel drive truck, thank God. I had to drive off the road up onto the bank of the hillside to make room for people coming that insisted they weren't going to turn around, even though they were coming uphill, or downhill. And I kept saying, actually, there's no place for me to go. I can't move. I either go up the hill. So that's what I had to do. Four-wheel drive, pull my truck up the hill, and I had a trailer, and I'd break all that up. It was a mess, and that took a good half hour. Can you imagine if an emergency vehicle was trying to get to this venue of 250 people with shuttles, cars in the parking lots, people in the dump stations? I don't know. I can just see havoc, and hopefully you guys can see that too. So I think that before you even consider approving something like this, I think staff and the owners, I mean, that's a small investment. The property sold for like 60-some thousand. I mean, that's not a huge business investment. I mean, let them look at it and see what they want to do. I mean, if we want to have music venues, amplified music, parking, well, it's 26 acres of parking lot, I guess. But let's look at it as 26 acres of parking lot, not 16 campsites. It just happened to have RVs, dumping stations, 250 people there. And in the process itself, the permit, it says that it's up to the applicant's benefit. It's not the county's going to shut it down at whatever, 10:45 or 9:45. No, the event can keep going according to the permit if that's what the venue needs. It's to their benefit. That's crazy. So I think, like the lady was talking before, there's just too many things. And I don't want to even get into the technical setbacks. They all change depending on what kind of permit you're getting. And that's what I think you need to look at. Have staff look at, is this really the correct permit for what they're proposing? And thank you.
Thank you for your time. I still have public comment open.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Cynthia Engstrom. I reside at 800 Jerry Drive in Lakeport. And I also have a trailer up at Blue Lakes at the Narrows Resort, 5690 Blue Lakes Road. First of all, I appreciate your willingness to serve on this board. I know it's probably not an easy job at times, and from the lingo that's been going on, it's pretty complicated too. And I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. I appreciate the staff and all their work and their chance to be here with us and help us make these decisions. When something comes to you with so many opposition comments, I wonder if you get an opportunity to go and actually visit the site and see what it is they're talking about and not have this abstract description in your mind. or if you really have a chance to read all those hundreds of pages that come across your desk. There are many health and safety objections to this project, as well as logistical problems. If this project is allowed to go forward with restrictions, who will enforce these? And would the county hire somebody to make sure they show up at each of these venues to make sure they're following the restrictions that they've been given? I don't know if that will happen. They've already mentioned that this is a one-lane road. And I loved the description of how it is when you meet another car coming the other direction. So if there is an emergency and the emergency equipment is on their way in, and those people at this venue are panicking and they are on their way out, how are we going to get them past one another? How is emergency help going to be there for those who need it? It's a complicated thing. And this idea of them bringing in and dropping off people, what about those people who decide to leave the event early and they meet that van on the way in? That's another problem. There's no way to pass in many of these sections. We're sure that you're aware of your responsibility for the welfare of the people of Lake County and the people who live nearby, the residents and the other businesses. I understand that that sound study was done, and I also understand that there are some discrepancies in that sound study. And I would like to do just a small demonstration for you to help you better enlighten you a little bit about sound. I have just a tiny little music box here, and I'm going to play it. Can you hear it? A little bit. If I take the same music box and set it on solid ground, the sound study needs to keep in mind the mountain and the lake water that reflects the sound. We can be on the Narrows property and hear conversations across the lake because it bounces off of the water. This is a challenging thing for those who have businesses around the lake, and it will make a difference for the people who come and stay there. Currently, you have 4 thriving businesses in this area, each of them contributing to the county tax base. This project will detract from their businesses. It may even cause some of them to close. You will need to weigh the value of current taxes being collected against the unknown potential of this new event location. Thank you very much for letting me talk to you. We've been going to Blue Lakes for almost 30 years for the serenity that we find there. Again, who will enforce these restrictions that you put on this permit? Who's going to enforce the number of cars that are going to be there? Who's going to make sure that that fire truck can get in there and turn that 90-degree angle? Who's going to make sure that all of these restrictions are complied with? Consider all the expenses too for the county, who will have to adjudicate all the complaints that may arise from this permit. Please protect this Lake County and its valuable asset of serenity at Blue Lakes. I'm urging you to vote no on this permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Excuse me. All right. Anybody wishing to speak or wants to highlight anything that hasn't been talked about yet? How are we doing in the Zoom room? Okay. Okay. What's the first name we have? Pierce? Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
We have someone in the room as well.
All righty. Stand by, Pierce. We'll go ahead and handle Chambers. You're welcome to approach the podium. And we'll have 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah, I kind of got around them in.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Jim Moreta. I have a cabin on Blue Lake right across from the proposed agenda or place. The one night they had the amplified music, my windows were rattling. I mean, it's loud. And I'm just wondering about all my little animal friends that live there. The bald eagle, the osprey, the ducks, the rabbits, the deer, raccoons. What do they think about all this racket? So I'm just advocating for them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll be quick. Zeb Herrings, live in Blue Lakes. I'm curious, you guys had green sheets with amendments to the conditions of approval. Does everybody get to see those, or?
I'm sure you can.
Okay, I just, because the approval conditions or the conditions of approval had a lot of stuff that will alter how property is used.
Sure. What did you say, Michelle?
Oh, just clarifying, those were submitted by the applicant, not being proposed by staff at this time anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Councilman Heiss, to answer your question with the stairs and why not the stairs, it's the type of the hillside where if you reach out, you'll touch the hill. It's straight up and down. So it's not very safe, is why I'm guessing that was in the condition. And then also, just real quick, I agree with everybody that they've said in opposition of this. And I'm just curious why, if it's a campground, why it doesn't have to adhere to the county campground codes and regulations? Offsets, setbacks, the road was only added after the fire department recommended it, but it should have been there from the very beginning. It's just blatantly not even followed. So yeah, that's kind of all I really had. I'll make it quick, so thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And we'll go ahead and switch over to, I believe the last name was Pierce in our Zoom room. All right, we're going to unmute you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, please be sure to say your first and last name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Indeed, I will. My name is Teddy Pierce. My husband is in the audience. Some of our neighbors are in the audience there. And I just had a couple questions and comments that I hope you can answer. The gentleman just brought up the amendments that we're talking about. Were those delivered within the Brown Act guidelines, the 72-hour guidelines, if you're going to be considering those today? And then the other thing I'll say is that, I completely agree with Nick Summerfield about the roads. There are still tons of potholes up on those roads, and I drive a Honda Civic, which is very small. But if you're trying to get up those roads or down those roads and somebody's coming in a regular sized car, you have to pull off to the side, and that's one person. I really think that, with this consideration, if you're going to talk about this, you really need to be prepared for some harm to come to, either the people attending the event or some of the neighbors. And honestly, if it were me, I wouldn't want to incur any kind of legal proceeding going forward, because I think that you're asking for that personally if you move ahead with this. But yes, if you could address whether those amendments were delivered within the Brown Act guidelines, that would be interesting to know. Thank you.
Sure, not a problem. And I do believe the green sheet that we were that is being referenced with the amendments was put together by the applicant. It was nothing that the staff put together.
Yeah, the Brown Act rules, as far as 72 hours applies to agenda and agendas, and this was not, and it was also not. It technically was public comment from the applicant submitted prior to the meeting.
Yes. Thank you for that clarification. The next hand in the Zoom room. Is there a phone number? Okay, guest number 109. We're going to unmute you. If you could please state your first and last name, and you'll have 3 minutes. Guest number, unmute yourself.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. If you could
Hi.
just please state your first and last name, we'll give you 3 minutes.
I will. My name is Cheryl Tennyson. I have a cabin on Blue Lakes Road, and we've been there for over 21 years. And prior to that, we were campers at La Trianon for 30 years before that. Anyway, I want to just state for the record that, and I want to say that I agree with Angie, Nick Summerfield, and everybody else that has spoken. And I want to thank Angie for such a thorough presentation. I have all of those concerns. I did want to bring up, no one really has ever, where our cabin sits, it sits across from Highway 20, and we see the traffic all the time. We also see the traffic during times where that highway gets shut down and Blue Lakes Road is used in both directions. And it becomes very, very dangerous. There doesn't seem to be a plan by that I've seen by CHP or anybody else involved about what to do when we have a major event on Highway 20. And it happens a lot. And Blue Lakes Road and Laurel Dell and Scotts Valley are all impacted. Irvine, Mid-Lake Road. So it's a major concern. I just want to bring to your attention, and maybe someone else can, bring some more information regarding that. Everything else, I think I'll just leave to the past comments. I really urge you not to vote in favor of this use permit. I think it's a very ambitious project for an area that just doesn't work. It's too big, and it's too big of a project for that many people and that many cars. So that being said, thank you for your time and have a nice day.
Thank you for your comment. All right, looking at the Zoom room. Brooke? Okay, Brooke, we're going to unmute you and give you the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, just be, I don't know if I said it or not, but please be sure to state your first and last name.
Hi, my name is Brooke Engstrom. My family and I have lived in Lake County for 30 plus years. Blue Lakes is one of our very most favorite places to go, and it's so peaceful and tranquil. And one of my favorite things to do is to kayak on the lake and just really soak in that peacefulness. No other operators around the lake allow loud music. So this is going to affect all of the other people that are out kayaking, out boating, out swimming, and their evening where they're relaxing in their campgrounds that they came to get away from their busy lives. Approving this project will hurt all of the surrounding businesses, not just the Narrows. I'm urging you to vote no on this proposal. We need the commission to be reasonable and do what's best for the whole area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. All right, making our way down the list. Okay, guest V as in vacuum. We are going to unmute you, and you're welcome to state your first and last name. We'll give you 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Valerie Rossetti. We have a cabin on the lake as well on Blue Lakes Road. I've been coming here for about 35 years now, and absolutely agree with all the commentary to oppose this permit that's been raised. Thank you, Angie. I know you've worked diligently on this. So want to echo the concerns regarding the noise, the traffic, impact to our environment here. We've experienced all of it as more and more people have come to the area. And this is really an oversized, egregious use of this environment. The events that have been held with the noise, we were here when that took place, and to the earlier comments about how the sound carried is just an understatement. It was so loud. We couldn't even tell exactly where the music was coming from because of the way it reverberated off the mountain. It actually sounded like it was coming over from Blue Lakes Lodge, but then we learned later it wasn't, that it was actually coming from the Navoa property. But one comment that hasn't been made so far that I'd also like to bring up is that there's been a lot more people coming to the lake over the years because we're right off Highway 20. And there's just a lot more traffic and lake pollution. The garbage that gets left behind on certainly the Highway 20 side, when we go out, we constantly bring garbage bags with us and pick up the garbage. I don't even know how many pounds we've pulled off this lake because people are careless and reckless with how they treat our environment. And the county doesn't bring resources to clean any of this. We private people around here are cleaning it up. So again, you know, people raised commentary around the reasons we come here is for the peace and serenity and the beautiful nature that we have here. We now have a nesting American bald eagle. That's not been here before. Like I said, I've been here for 35 years. And we have otters and marmots and osprey and all the native creatures that come through here. This is a terrible, terrible proposal and what it will bring to our environment here. So thank you, and I appreciate having this time.
Thank you for your comment and calling in. Okay, looks like we're going to unmute Maria's Nova, maybe. We're going to unmute you, and if you could state your first and last name, and we'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. Oh, wait. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Hi, this is Maria Navoa. And I've been out to the venue a few times, and it's a great venue. We've had our family reunion there. We are not destructive. It's not loud at all. I mean, everybody's talking about the roads. There's a car parked on the main road there in front of I don't know if it's an Airbnb or somebody's lake house. If they're worried about the road, why is there a car parked there covered every time I go down that road? So that's the question I have. I mean, they're worried about it. The big white truck that pulls around and stares at the Navoa Ranch and bypasses us to look down to see what we're doing by the lake. He's got a big old truck. I mean, we should all be working together and encouraging each other and supporting each other, but all I hear is bash, bash, bash. They need to do better sound studies. They need to do this. Are they sound engineers? Evidently, they should go and complain to the sound engineer and tell him that he's not doing his study correctly. And maybe they should teach a class. So otherwise, I think this is just out of control and bashing one another instead of supporting each other and supporting the community. I think this is all wrong. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment and calling in. Do we have any other hands raised? Okay, we are going to unmute Monty, and if you could please state your first and last name, we'll give you 3 minutes. Monty? Possibly try unmuting on your side.
Got it.
There you go. If you could please state your first and last name, we'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Monty Hill, and I'm a joint tenant in a cabin at Blue Lakes and have been for 35 years. And I really only have one point to make, and it's just impossible for me to understand how you would decide to allow this much traffic on the road. And I think special attention should be given to the point that somebody made about the shuttle. With the shuttle on that road, well, I'll tell you, it's going to be problems. And assuming it's making a number of trips every day when this is going on, it just it just doesn't seem reasonable under any circumstances to allow a project that's going to bring that much more traffic on that road. So thank you. I know this isn't easy and, you have hard jobs, but, I don't think asking that not be allowed under the current request is unreasonable. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
It looks like the last one is Tim's iPhone 15 Plus.
All right. We're looking at Tim's iPhone 15 Plus. We're going to unmute you, and if you could please state your first and last name, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Yes, thanks. I didn't get the option to put in my name when I called in. So, yes,
That's okay.
Tim Inkstrom. I have been visiting Blue Lakes for nearly 30 years now. I grew up in Lakeport. It's a place I like to call my hometown. One thing I like to bring up, especially with live music on a hillside, as a musician, as somebody who's played live music venues, when you have a hillside as your backdrop, it is going to send sound and it's going to bounce off the top of the water and it's going to be audible very clearly, very loudly at great distances. I don't know if anybody in the room remembers Canocti Harbor with their concert venue. You never had to buy tickets to go to the concert venue because you could just park your boat on the water underneath and hear the music just fine as if you were in the venue itself. And that was miles away from where the stage was actually producing the sound. So sound does carry very easily, especially in a box canyon like Blue Lakes is. I also want to point out that there were some pictures of the road in that slideshow at the beginning. And I don't think that the pictures of the road of Blue Lakes Road in that slideshow were a good representation of the condition that road is actually in. There are a small percentage of the road was recently repaved and reworked, and that was the picture that was included. But a good section of that road is filled with potholes that will rattle your teeth out of your head if you're driving over those inappropriately. And that's the section of the road that these shuttles and all this traffic is going to be coming from to get to this venue. Additionally, what draws me to Blue Lakes and has for the last 30 years is the fact that it is peaceful, it is calm, it is tranquil. You do not have the live concert venues like you do on Clear Lake with, the old concerts in the park that they used to do in Lakeport or Canocti Harbor. You don't have the speedboats racing up and down the road. It is calm, it is serene, it is peaceful. It's a place that you can come with your family, you can enjoy the wildlife and not have to worry about lots of man-made noise that's occurring. I urge the commissioners to vote against this proposal, as I feel that this will have a very large negative impact on both the people who live on the lake, the people who visit the lake. It will deteriorate from that peaceful and tranquil thing that Blue Lakes has to offer. Blue Lakes is not Clear Lake, and I feel like this proposal is going to try and make Blue Lakes into Clear Lake 2.0. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment and calling in. One last one. What is it? Oh, that's it? All right. One last call for the Zoom room. All right. I'll take one last look around chambers. If anyone wants to speak, we still have public comment open. You're welcome to approach the podium. And just so you guys know, I am going to have to break for staff and lunch for everybody. They've been here for a long time.
Hello, my name is Gary Pierce. I have a place on Blue Lake in the community, the little community, and I would like to echo all the other problems that people have mentioned about the fire, the roads, and the noise especially too. But I think one comment that no one's brought up yet is the amount of traffic that it's going to bring in through the community, because the road Irvine, which goes down through the community and is the access road to hit that back Blue Lake Road, is going to be the main thoroughfare for all this traffic, shuttles and buses and cars. And I just don't think it's really fair to the small community like that to have to deal with something like that. There's kids, there's pets, people walk around there all the time. And so that's just one major concern. But the fires and the noise is also very important to consider. So I urge you not to approve it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for taking the time. All right, come on up.
Public comment, or
It's still public comment.
do I come back after lunch and answer all the complaints?
If you would like to continue with public comment, we can let the public talk a little bit more, and then we can give you your closing if you'd like.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. And then Director Turner, do we break for 10 or 30? Does it matter?
It would be good if we give staff sufficient lunchtime, so I would recommend breaking until 1:30.
1:30, okay. Hi.
Hi, I'm Kay Summerfield. We've been in Blue Lakes for about 47 years. And what Gary just talked about was the impact on the community, on our roads. We're off Mid-Lake Road and Irvine. And when we had that accident and everybody was using the back road, they became like speedways. We have kids out on bikes, and we have people walking their dogs. We have old people like us. And it's just really scary. On the back road, which no one brought up, is you can't pass. I mean, with two cars, they had little kids out directing traffic, trying to keep the cars inches apart. But there were also kids on bicycles on that back road. And if there's a fire truck coming, where are these little kids going to go? I mean, they're not little kids, they're teenagers and stuff like that. But do they fall down off the cliff and stuff like that to get out of the way? If you've got cars coming towards them, you've got a fire truck going. So my biggest concern really is the fire danger and being able to stop. We've been there since 1977, and we have never had a fire on that side of the hill. It hit the other side when we had the big fire, and it hit the range over. But we've never had a fire since 1977 on our side, and I don't know how long before that. And if it goes, you're not going to be able to stop it, and our houses are going to be lost. And it's our family home, and we don't want to lose it, and I don't want to see kids get hurt either on their bicycles or their scooters or whatever they're on. And I think that's something that hadn't come up yet. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment. Okay.
I did have one more thing I would like to say.
Okay, just a second. Just a second. Thank you. I'm just trying to plan this out for us and for staff. All right. If you would like to do your conclusion right now, you're welcome to. Or if you would like to do your conclusion right now, you can do that. Or once we get back from lunch, if you would like to have a few minutes to say your conclusion, if you will, we can do that. So that's kind of where I'm at this point.
I just want to do like a quick something that I wanted to add. But
Okay.
So that will be a little longer. He wants to answer anyone's questions.
Okay, you can come up and have a few minutes, then we're going to break for lunch. And then after that at 1:30, you're welcome to do your conclusion. Go ahead.
So I am Amy Navoa again. I just want to tell you what we have endured to go through this process. I mean, not only financially, it's been hard because we've been, just the sound study alone was over $8,000. And we did it because we want to make sure that we're being respectful to our neighbors. So this has all been documented, front one, and we've been yelled at, we've been videoed. We had damaging misinformation put on Facebook about us. We've been threatened. And so we didn't know why this was really happening because we didn't understand why people were treating us like this. So I called the county helpline and I talked to Julie Kennard, who is amazing. She took our concerns and she recommended that we get a hold of EJ Crandall, who is our rep for District 3 for the Blue Lakes. And he mentioned that, well, I think he emailed us back and said, I think you should go introduce yourself and go to the town meeting. And I said, yeah, that's great. So he sent us the information for the town meeting and then, like the site and when the next one was, and invited us to come to it, which we did go to that meeting. And what we did is we introduced ourselves and we took on questions. And when we had got that information, we went and looked at the past meetings and we realized why people were so upset with us. Misinformation that was going on without our knowledge that we were even being talked about for many months. And the stuff that was being talked about was upsetting the neighbors. It made them do petitions. And these people on the petitions, not one of these people have ever talked to us or ever come to our site. And so we invited people at our meeting to come and see it. We want to be transparent. Please come look at it because it's beautiful. If you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing place. It's beautiful. It's a perfect spot. It's beautiful for everybody. And I just want to say that the guy who does the meeting, his name is Tim. He actually did come out to our place and he looked at it and gave us some great ideas. And I just want to say that we really have endured to come where we're at. And I hope that this doesn't happen to anybody else.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. All right, guys, it is 12:30. I'm going to give everybody a break for an hour, and I'll see you back here at 1:30.